Yeah, so I want this doesn't have 4-wheel drive, of course. It's 2-wheel drive. But I'm with you. Once I drove a truck for the first time, not a big truck, but a pickup truck, 4-wheel drive, Jeep. I'm like, SUV, I had a big Yukon for a while. This car feels like I'm driving a Hot Wheels.
You feel so tiny and so unprotected.
Unprotected.
I don't know. It's, because we were looking at like CRVs and whatever else I could find that was small.
Yeah.
Because I want to be a small truck guy.
And
I don't want to be a
SUV,
big truck guy.
Right.
But then we stumbled upon this one, and like I erred on the side of caution. Was just like, well, it's definitely rated to tow all my gear. And so let's just do it, and I'll do the big truck thing and see how it goes. And
so what is it? What is it?
It's a Armada.
Armada.
Yeah, it's fucking huge. It's got third row seating because we got 9 million kids
and their friends.
Yeah, but it can also like haul shit wherever I need it to go, and I feel so safe
in it. Yeah. Of course, eventually that's what we want to do is obviously probably get to SUVs. That Ford Explorer is something like that. You know, it's a full size SUV. It's not a Armada or it's not an Excursion.
Yeah.
But it's totally bigger than this little guy. You know. But this car is. I can drive the speed limit. I can drive on the highway.
The things you take for granted. Like, hey,
dude, I haven't been able to drive on the highway for 2 years. I've only been able to go...
Fucking farm roading it.
Oh, farm roading it. And when I do go on even a place with 55 and I'm going 40, people are riding my ass, and I have to pull over and let them around. And yeah, it just...
And you're always so self-conscious about it.
Totally.
Just get around me, dude.
It's made me a really insecure driver because of it. And so now I've got this car. I'm just like cruising. I'm like, all right, I am okay. I can drive. I'm decent at this shit, you know? So... Oh my goodness. So yeah, the whole SUV thing. I like the SUV thing. I thought I was a pickup person because I had a pickup for a long time, and I love pickups. But I'm an SUV because the rain. Yeah. It's gonna rain, and you're hauling equipment or people. It's gonna rain. Yeah. You need an SUV. So.
Yep. Well, and I mean, because that was my deal at first. We were going to look for a big van that I could haul gear in because I graduated from the little minivan. Yep. And I was going to get either a big van or a box truck, like you guys did. But then everybody was just like, get a trailer because then whatever happens to the vehicle, you can always just fucking rent something that'll get your gear where it needs to go.
Totally.
And so, the trailer SUV combo is my sweet spot.
It's a good sweet spot. And what happened with us is we had a van and trailer, just an express van, you know, and a 14-foot trailer for a long time. And we just sold the trailer. And we sold it because we had this yellow van. Right. Because this big old Sprinter holds as much as that trailer.
Fuck that trailer.
And if you don't have to haul a trailer... Then you're fine, you know. It's
taking up space.
You know, you're driving. You have all this stuff. Now that it's down, it's like, oh, we have to rent that U-Haul truck all the time.
Yeah, there goes my margin.
There's my margin. My margin's going away. However, you still, if you rent the truck, you still get the job done. So you know, it's okay. It's a couple $100 bucks less. Yep, gotta make it work.
Are we live?
We are live, bro.
Live.
You're here.
And in Technicolor.
In Technicolor. What?
I already got. I don't know about y'all, but I said I am anyhow. I don't know.
Yeah.
I got the full spectrum going on.
Full spectrum going.
I've already got a text that says, "Matt will be good on the show.
Awesome.
Interesting life."
Yay! Very cool. You gonna reveal who that is?
No, I'm gonna keep it private.
Keep it private. Right on. Smurfly.
They sent it to me privately. I don't know if they want
it. They didn't make a comment on it.
They might not want to be associated with us.
Absolutely.
I could definitely see why. On my end, anyhow. Yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna get set back up.
You're gonna get set back up with your yummy yummies? He's going some more yummy yummies. On the rocks.
Fucking top me off.
Top him off a little bit? No, topping off to Dan is filling all the way to the
Don't
side.
do that. Just a little.
Just a little more.
That's good.
There you go.
Plenty.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
Right on.
All right, so are you ready?
I'm ready.
I'm ready.
Anybody say anything yet?
Yes. Okay. Go on.
Hold on, I needed to get this figured out first.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Who's the prima donna?
Are you ready? He says.
Yeah. Are you ready? I'm totally ready.
Are you ready? Is the question.
Right.
Hold on.
Turn your volume down.
I just opened it. I swear to God, I'm gonna divorce you so fast.
I know. That's the threat every single day.
Well,
Okay.
If you do it, can I also run sound for the divorce?
Yes. You can.
It'll be even a bigger party, probably.
I was just telling one of my buddies about the first time I ever dealt with Dan and Tara.
Yes.
Was them getting married on the spot, and it was the coolest.
I think we got to start there because I think that's where we met.
Oh yeah, I think that is where we met.
So let's get going in 3, 2, 1.
Everybody be cool.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Unsung Screamers episode number, holy shit, 96.
96.
On this day, August the 4th be with you.
August the 4th be with you.
August the 4th be with
Not
you.
May the
Close
4th.
enough.
Close
enough.
Right.
Just shoehorn it in.
It's August already.
I know.
Jeez, oh, pizza place.
On the show tonight, we've got the dancing sound man.
That's right.
Matt Baker.
There he is right there.
How's it going, Matt Baker?
I'll tell you what. If it was going any better, I'd probably just fucking pop. It's pretty damn good. I sure can't complain about it.
Pretty damn good.
And whenever I do complain about it, there ain't nobody that gives a shit.
Right.
So
one thing we're going to ask you to do for his dealing with the editing is pull that mic right up into your face.
pull it right up here.
Yeah,
Maybe-
you can.
Oh, I can't scoot too.
You can raise
Well,
it.
you can bring
You
it
can
towards
raise
you.
it and put it to your face. There we go.
How's
That way,
that?
otherwise he
Check.
has to just edit and.
I ought to
edit
know how to work a
and-
mic.
I was
anyhow.
going to say, what's up with you with the sound? It's just
Yes, because I think that's a great place to start. I don't know if it was literally the first time I met you, but it was right around when we kind of first met.
Well, yeah, I remember seeing you guys at Crave before that.
Yeah.
Like,
doing shows here and there.
yeah,
maybe?
doing. I mean, and just being
And raising
regulars.
hell.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and just
right.
just cutting up. Like we do.
Right.
We had done a Violet show, right? Or two.
I
Had we?
don't know
It was
if we had
18.
then, because I remember specifically Mark had to introduce us so that I could get with Dan on
Right.
like all the video stuff.
That is
and
right.
Things of that nature.
Because I had done a show there before, but you weren't there yet. That's what it was.
Right,
Yeah.
Yeah. So Schween messages me and is like, "Hey, I've got this thing. I need you to get a hold of this guy and make sure it all goes really well."
Right.
And so Dan reached out to me and was like, "Oh, I'm getting married." And I was like, "Oh, well, cool, congrats." And he's
Yeah.
like,
No.
on the spot.
Like, here's the thing. Here's the deal. And for those of you who don't know, it was a surprise wedding, surprise engagement.
Yeah. So
We've talked about it on the show
getting with
before.
Matt was one of the biggest things, and I think it was the first time we met because I remember having a feeling of like I don't know this Matt guy,
Yes.
and I remember it all being like he's got one of the most important roles of the night,
Right.
and I hope he's any good, and I remember being
I
a
hope
little
he's any good.
I remember being a little micromanaging with him because when I met him, I was like, okay, now you got to do it like, and you're going to have to, a couple
Right.
times he's
He's
like,
I got this.
We're good. I was like, and then there's going to be a spot where he's like, yeah, the video.
And then there's this
No, but he
video.
had a whole
It was
concept
quite
and
a bit.
plan, and it was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And I was also like, I want to say I was only there for a couple months at that point.
Mm-hmm.
They had just brought me over from doing install stuff, and so had up to that point dealt with Teresa.
Right.
She was the boss lady, and Mark was always at Friends.
Yeah.
Almost never saw the guy, and then he gets a hold of me, and I'm like, uh-oh. Mark's getting a hold of me, and I got to take care of these people. And then it was Dan, and it was the coolest fucking thing.
Oh my God. And it was really kind of flawless, really.
There was, it's from a technical standpoint, there was a live band involved. Then there was another
Shout
band
out
that,
Funhouse.
yeah, Funhouse.
Yeah, Funhouse.
Funhouse was the band. Then there was a band that performed with tracks, which was Galactic Thrust.
Yes.
And there was
that was
video.
dope.
Yeah,
that
it
was
so
cool.
good.
There was a video that we had to play from live from Sweden, and well, not live, but it had to look
it
live.
felt like it.
And so we did this like static like,
Just
oh.
breaking in.
So it was very important that it was on certain TVs, and he was in charge of all the TV stuff too. And then, of course, just regular.
Well, and I mean, you're talking about the tech stuff, but like, so Dan sets this up, and they open the door to the big room, and there's Tara. And what was it like? All your choir or your previous students, your previous vocal students first greeted you, and they formed this corridor, and they're like handing her flowers, and Jimmy James is singing, and it was badass. Dude.
There was
Like,
tons of people.
Set the bar.
I told him he's off limits. Off limits. He's off the hook for Valentine's Day for like our whole marriage.
Yeah.
Like,
And then they got married right there.
Yeah,
like
the,
literally.
It
And you know
started
what?
as a proposal.
Mark married us.
Yeah.
And Mark married us.
Of course he did.
So yeah, while the band's playing and the choir was singing and the corridor was there and your dog was there,
My dog was there.
brought the dog and everything.
Yes.
That was just a proposal.
And everybody was giving me shots. I had like
And
7
everyone was
shots
like-
during that one song.
Oh,
Good plan.
She said yes, and that was all over in a matter of however long it took Funhouse to play one
3.5
song.
minutes, maybe.
And then it was like, well, if you want to do it right now, literally,
Here's the dress.
we had the dress, we had a place for you to change, we had bridesmaids, we had everything. All
Yeah.
around
And had someone to paint my nails. And yeah, it
it.
was
The kids
ridiculous.
were there in tuxedos.
Yes.
And I was up there just tapping that iPad like a bastard, making sure it all went off. And
Oh my God. It was,
it was
so
such
good.
such a privilege to be a part of. And what a way to
What a way to meet.
What a way to meet.
And it's funny you're wearing that shirt because they played later. The Rosie
they
Hips
played
played
that
later.
night.
They
And we
did.
stayed the whole freaking time. Got drunk off our ass. All of our guests were
I
gone.
remember.
We were walking around Crave with a full bottle
Full
of
bottle
wine.
of wine because we had bought. You had bought a few bottles of wine ahead of time.
Yeah, totally not cool
And we
to
end
walk
up
around a bar with a
Drunk
full
on our
bottle.
ass at Steak and Shake at 2:30 in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning,
Yeah.
in our wedding clothes, just
Newly
passing
wed.
out in our
Oh,
freaking
yeah.
Frisco
Eating some
milk.
steak burgers, and chili
Your
Max.
Chili Max, passing out, just drunk. Nobody else. None of our guests were with us.
No, everyone kind of cleared out
Yeah.
actually.
We just walked over to freaking Steak and Shake and just had our Chili Max and in our
Dan and
wedding
Tara,
clothes.
first
Yeah.
2 punks,
Yes.
last 2 punks.
Ah, that's right. Damn it.
So yeah, that's how
That's
we
how
met.
we met. That's how we met.
Yes.
Matt Baker. Fantastic. That is right. I forgot all about that till earlier, just a second ago. I was like, that is how we met. Not the first show I did there.
No,
No, because it was shortly after that
We did a show and-
There was Violet shows, and there was
Galactic Thrust and
Yeah.
Thrust, and there was showcases.
yeah, I did. Yeah, I did
yeah,
a few
for Backbeat
showcases.
and-
Yes.
Yep.
Some of my vocal students and stuff like that. Yeah. So yeah, totally. Over at the old.
So it goes
Crave.
without saying that Matt Baker is of many things he is. He's a sound guy.
He's a sound guy. He's the dancing
He's
sound
that
man.
guy.
He's the dancing sound man. So earlier,
do.
while we were still kibitzing about driving SUVs or cars or whatever, we were just talking about my little Toyota car. Dean Daisy says, "Hello, Fritzes," and hey, Matt Baker.
Hey, Dean.
That's Dean Daisy, and Jared
the best
says,
dude.
Dean's cool, and Jared says, "I'm an SUV guy because I like acronyms."
Heard.
That's what Jared says.
Well, and I don't like acronyms, and so I
don't
always call
either.
it a truck. And
Right?
everybody's like, "What are you talking about? Your truck?" And I'm like, "No, it's my truck."
Yeah.
But it's because for some reason I can't call it an SUV. I can't say that's my SUV.
Yeah, it so sounds
my truck.
pretentious.
Yeah.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
I remember one time I went to Sweden and
So good.
I was driving a Yukon at the time, and I went to Sweden and I was talking to my brother and I was like, "Yeah, I'm driving this SUV." He's like, "What's an SUV?"
Right?
I mean, they'd hardly ever. Nobody drives in Sweden anyway.
Sports utility vehicle.
And I told him that, and he was like, "Well, what kind of sports do you do with it?" And I'm just like, "Yeah,
I was actually getting ready to ask that because I didn't know that's what it was.
yeah." You didn't know SUV
I don't
was
think so.
utility vehicle,
I know ATV. No, I actually don't know ATV.
all-terrain vehicle.
All terrain. That's it.
Yeah, and then there's what is it?
UTV.
UTV.
What the hell are those?
What is that? Someone tell us what a UTV. But I was just going to say that. What is that? A UTV.
Ultimate terrain? I don't know.
Ultimate terrain vehicle. But yeah, so my brother was like, "So what kind of sports do you do with this terrain vehicle?" I'm like,
I hope you said football. And it's
you know,
head
I didn't.
exploded.
I'm not the comedian. He's the comedian. I did not say that. I should have said that. I should have said, "I totally play football in my Yukon."
You mean American football?
Yeah.
American.
American
Damn
football.
right.
That is right.
Well, for those who don't know, Matt Baker actually has already been a guest on our show.
He has.
And you might be thinking to yourself, no, he hasn't. I
never saw that
episode.
I've never seen it.
I never saw it or
I can't
heard
find it anywhere.
You're a liar.
You lie.
Lol, I never saw that episode either.
Weird. It's crazy.
I mean, and he was within the first 3 or 4
Yes.
guests that we had.
Yeah, OG.
And
The OG. One
totally,
of the OGs.
totally the OG. And
Back when it was Unsung Dreamers.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
That was before we screamed.
yeah,
That's
that
right.
was before we were
just
screaming.
dreaming.
Yeah.
We were only dreaming then. Now we scream.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
We're just evolving with the
gestures
world.
broadly at everything.
Absolutely.
Yeah. We scream now.
Yeah,
So
we
it was
scream now.
somewhere in the vicinity of September-ish of August, August of 2018.
Yeah, it
when
was.
this happened.
It was the first few, and we ended up never being able to air it because back then we were recording it in such a way that we were putting it on these. We were recording straight to the chips.
Micro SD.
Yeah,
That's
the little
right.
SD cards. That also happened to be at a time when my 9-year-old, who is now 13, he was kind of really into like filming stuff, and he had his own camera, and he was all excited, and he was stealing my chips out of the
You're
studio.
going to blame this on the 9-year-old?
Totally. Absolutely. Yes.
And when I went to grab one of the segments that had Matt's
The
interview
second
on it,
half, because we took a break and did a second half.
that SD card had been reformatted,
Gandhi, it was
and
gone.
there was videos of just.
That second half was where it got real, too.
It got real.
The first half
I
was
know.
all bullshit. The second half.
It was all there to set up. It
Yeah.
was to set up the second half, and then when the second half wasn't there, it was like, oh.
Yeah, so we were
'Cause that's
just
when it
like,
got
man, I don't know
good.
what to do. And back then, we just thought, like, well, let's just get to bed. Let's get back together in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
We'll do it next week.
and we'll do it next
And we
week.
totally tried. And then a couple weeks went by. And a couple weeks went by.
Here we are,
And a couple weeks went by.
4 years later.
And now 4 years later.
4
Almost to the
years.
day. Like this is August. So
Yeah,
we
pretty
are very
close.
close to that point of time.
And Elvis ain't got no hand in.
yeah,
Nor Bono. Bono was it was actually Bono.
it might
Oh,
have
was
been
it
Bono.
Bono? Yeah, it-
I don't actually know because Elvis was
True
living with
that.
us at the time.
He was
I
actually
don't know which of your kids is
and
which age.
Elvis
so,
is
yeah.
the 21-year-old, Bono's
Okay.
the 13.
yeah, but Elvis was stealing chips from me back then
Yes,
too.
that's
So
true. And he was here recording.
yeah.
Oh, so I've been blaming Bono all
We're
this
like
time.
a real life Clue game. Like
Right.
Elvis did
Who done
it
it?
in the bedroom
Who done it?
with the SD chip.
And now the second half is lost to
It's
the annals
lost
of
forever,
history.
but we have it in our minds and hearts.
I've got
was
some of
special,
it
too.
I've got some of it in my head.
In my head,
Yeah.
and that's why I wrote some notes down here that maybe we'll revisit that stuff. I want to say hi to Russ. Russ Weatherby's here.
Oh, shit.
Russ.
Oh man, you better straighten up.
He says, "Sound guy, truth on camera right now, on the record. How often do you just fiddle with the knob and look focused when musicians on stage ask for more of something in their monitors? Hashtag friends don't lie."
Literally always. It's never. The Latin for that is semper et ubique. It is never otherwise.
Nice. Oh my god, so good, brilliant. Oh,
Y'all
and
don't
that's-
know what the fuck you want.
And it's all like that. That's much better. Thanks.
Oh, that's great.
Yep.
No, I kid.
He says, "I knew it. I knew it." Eddie Hines says, "Love me, the dancing sound man."
Hey, Eddie
Aw,
Hines.
Eddie
is
Eddie
here.
Hines. Haven't seen my Eddie in
We
a
was
while.
just talking about Eddie Hines.
Yes, we were.
Yeah, I was just talking about Eddie
yeah,
Hines too.
I think everybody was.
everybody was, which
Eddie,
makes
you're
him.
on our mind.
I miss his silver
It makes
jacket.
him real paranoid. He's like,
know.
oh gosh,
Like, oh shit, what are they saying?
I'm just playing Eddie. We were talking good on you, bro.
Eddie's been on the show.
I was talking to Tommy Dwyer.
Eddie's
and
episode 11 on the audio. So yeah. Eddie
Yeah.
Hines, episode 11.
I just bought all their lights.
Did you?
Yeah,
Awesome.
Yeah.
Noise.
they
I
have a
love
bunch
that.
of great lights.
I bought a couple of Tommy Dwyer microphones,
Yep, they're in
and they're
the-
badass.
they're
too.
badass.
Yeah,
They sound crisp.
The lights I bought are
studio.
badass
Yeah,
too.
I bet.
Nice.
Yeah, nothing but the best.
Robert Crook says, "Sup, Baker?"
Ooh, Robert Crook
Yeah, Mr.
That dude.
Photographer.
is such a teddy bear.
Yeah.
Right.
He's the sweetest dude. And whenever we got the new place, I was like, "Oh, hey, I need pallets." And Robert said, not only do I have pallets, I've got like these printing pallets that are just a solid top.
Oh, wow.
And so he hooked me up, and he like had to fight off the other people at wherever publishing house he works to give me these pallets because all these other people wanted these pallets. And so now I've got a straight floor that I can roll all my cases in the bottom of my shed that's all made out of pallets that Robert gave me.
Nice.
Killer.
Him and Cheryl are the best.
They are the best. They will be on
They're gonna
the
be
show.
on.
August 25th.
Yeah.
August 20th. Don't get nervous,
25th.
Robert. It's okay.
It's coming.
It's okay. Don't get nervous. You'll have
See,
Cheryl
we've
here.
already got a good story about Robert. We can tell that
that's
night.
fan-freaking-tastic. I love it. Very cool. Pallets.
And they are, like, being able to watch them go from where they were just, like, people that were interested in doing this into people that are, like, getting press passes at fucking Tedeschi trucks.
Right? At Red Rocks. At
What?
Red Rocks.
How cool is that?
Oh,
Yeah.
God, I love seeing my people eat.
I know.
Like, it is the best thing.
God, I love seeing my people eat. What a good quote.
Yes.
It is.
It is a good thing. Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
But they have just been solid from day one.
Yeah.
Well,
From
and
the
they-
first day I realized they even existed because, you know, it's pretty easy for us to catch on to something new. And when I say us, I mean like Tara and I. We kind of can notice because we talk to so many different people. There's like, oh, have you heard of this guy? And it might be a new guy, and then 2 years later, everyone's like, oh, he's the guy. It's like, well,
Right.
someone told us about him too. And I remember that with the Crooks, just like, well, there's this couple, they're taking pictures, whatever it
Yeah.
was, and it seemed fast that
Bam.
everyone in town knew who they were
Yeah.
because they're
because
just
they do great work
they
and they're
do
good
great
people.
work and they're just cool people.
They were like they started out as just interested. I don't want to say hobbyist, but like maybe let's be real. Maybe they started out at the hobbyist level, but
Right.
they took it seriously. They were asking the right questions. They were doing the research. They were talking to folks and being like, hey,
Connecting with the right people.
how do I get better? How do I?
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know, and it shows.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Their photographs are so good.
And and they're just fun people. Fun people. We asked them if they wouldn't mind shooting his roast last year. And they came in and they fucking had some beautiful, wonderful pictures
yes.
of your roast.
We
It
still
was
gotta
great.
go through all
we
that.
still have not gone all through all those.
I've brought them in on a couple of professional projects now that I knew that I needed to execute for. And I knew that they would be able to execute. And I've never had nothing bad to say about
Yeah.
the
What I love is
quality of
that they have
product that
two
put out.
cameras going at the same time, so that it's like you can get multiple angles, and their styles. I would love to see a lineup of their photos because I don't think I could pick them apart and be
Right.
like, okay, who shot what?
That
Was
would be
it
an
Robert or
interesting
was it Cheryl?
segment.
Ooh, yeah.
Here's a lineup of photos. Who took it?
we might have to play that game when they come.
That'd be a fun game, you guys.
When they come on the show.
It'd be a fun
I'd be into it.
game. They're both blushing right now, they say.
Aw.
Oh, I love you guys. We're both blushing. Blushing. Yeah, so I mean, it would be fun to see, like, go shoot a show or whatever, whatever the thing is, and then put up your photos and like, okay, who shot this? That'd be good stuff for your Facebook page and stuff.
Every time I'm at a festival that they're at, like, fucking, they're bringing me food. They bring me drinks. Robert will bring me shots or whatever.
Nice.
Gummies, whatever
Right.
I need. They keep me hooked up, and so it's just so righteous. They're
good peeps.
the best.
That's
Yeah.
right. We had Jacob on here, Jacob Ferguson, for a while, and that kid is he's remarkable too. And I can see where the what does it say when the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. He's a good kid, and he's a lot like his mama apparently. And I can't wait to get to know them better on August 25th. So that'd be fucking cool as shit.
So what have you been up to, Matt?
Oh shit.
The
Just
last
a little bit
4
of this,
years.
A little bit of that. I've been trying really hard to not give a share of my value to some asshole.
Nice. That's a good thing.
After, like, I really feel like Mark and Teresa set the bar for how I should be treated.
Mm-hmm.
And I knew that after Crave went down, rest in peace, I wasn't going to be able to settle for less than the integrity that they afforded me.
Right.
And let's just touch on that for a second, because we want to, if anybody's watching that has no idea what you're talking about, Crave was a place here in town, and it was the old cartoons building that was here since the 80s. And Mark and Teresa took it over and called it Crave.
Yes, they did. They figured that a rebranding was necessary because it had gotten to a point where, like, you got to do that math and say, is it going to be easier to recover with the existing branding or to create new branding? And so a lot of the old heads
was messy.
Yeah,
it was messy, but it was nostalgic.
Still, they're cartoons people.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll never be anything other than cartoons, and I get it. But I was brought in by them under the new brand and under the new vision, and it was a hell of a vision.
Yeah.
And they did a lot of good there.
Yeah.
Just like after it burnt, dude, they kept me on payroll for like 6 months.
So that's what I wanted to touch on, is it burnt down. They had a major kitchen fire over the 4th of July. What year was that?
That was, was that?
19?
2019.
2019, yes. 4th of July weekend. Major kitchen fire. They tried to think about rebuilding, but it just wasn't going to happen.
It boiled down to, like, they're not developers.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they can run a venue. They can run the hell out of it and make money, but it didn't make sense for them to invest in a property that they were going to be upside down on right out of the gate.
Right.
Because, again, they're not developers. They're not playing that long game. And so it made way more sense for them to just sell it as an empty parking lot and move on.
And I think a lot of people publicly didn't understand that when cartoons was there, or original, we're talking 30, 40 years ago or whatever it was.
I think it was 83 or something. I don't remember.
Dude, it's got like a 40-year legacy.
It's a lot.
It breaks my heart.
When it got to a point of them possibly rebuilding, all of a sudden the city was involved as well.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And said, well, now you're not allowed to live under the old cartoons grandfather clauses.
No, because they had grandfathered in on all that janky electrical work.
And the janky parking lot.
They owned like 13 of the spaces.
Right.
And for that capacity, the city said we needed to own like 100-something spaces.
Yeah.
And so we talked to, what was it, the APO and...
Was it a pharmacy or Grove or something?
And nobody
next
would
door?
sell us any parking spaces. And the problem was the big room actually had a firewall. And so the big room stayed largely intact. It just had a ton of smoke damage.
Yes.
Right. But the bathrooms were burnt.
Yeah.
And the kitchen was burnt. Like beyond repair.
The kitchen was
and so
horrendous.
we walked through.
Yeah.
I know.
Yeah.
It was fucking terrible.
Yeah.
Because of that, in order to get the big room back open, we would have had to build new bathrooms. Absolutely. Even if it was no kitchen, just reopen the big room.
From scratch.
From scratch, we would have had to build new bathrooms. Suddenly, we're new construction. And we no longer have that grandfather immunity for all of that electrical stuff.
Right.
So literally it got to the point where, like, in order to have the big room stay open, we would have had to knock it down and rebuild it completely from the ground up.
Right.
And so it didn't make any sense for them to do that.
And there's some of those details I think is important to bring up, because I can tell you, I mean, if you want to just talk about it, there's tons of people who are just like, you know, these conspiracy. Oh, he burnt it down.
He burnt it down himself
just to get the insurance money and all this. And why wouldn't they rebuild it? And it's like, you were much more engaged than we were, but even just the little bit that we got involved, it was like, yeah, there was red tape that was a mile long.
And it's
on trying to rebuild.
It's completely nonsensical on a couple of different fronts. So that was July 4th weekend of 2019, right? That was the first summer since the rebranding. In fact, that was the first summer for a long time where we didn't lose our asses to the lake. We held our own. We hit our nut every single night that entire summer.
Yeah.
The kitchen was paying all the bills.
Wow.
Dude, Mary had that fucking kitchen
Mary
so
was
dialed.
ass.
Yes.
Yeah.
The kitchen was paying all the bills. Everything we got from
We went there
the door
a lot for lunch.
to, like, we more or less did straight door deals with some guarantees, but like the door all went to the bands. The kitchen paid the bills. We sold enough booze to make it worth it. But like that summer was the first summer that the lake didn't kick our ass. And if you've been doing music in Springfield for any amount of time, you know the lake kicks your ass.
Yes.
You can't compete.
You can't.
Yes.
You can't compete with the lake in the summer. All the business goes down there.
Yep.
But that summer, we held our own. We hit our nut every single day. Like we were doing it, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It doesn't make any sense that they would have walked away
No.
from. And considering the amount of money they put in to turn that brand around, like it doesn't make any sense for them.
Sure.
The amount that they got out of it is far less than what they put into it.
Yeah.
You know, and they have a real love for the scene.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
I mean, they have friends. They've had friends
Yeah.
for years. But
And I just
Friends
think some of
Karaoke
that,
Bar.
in addition to all that, there's just so many people. Of course, we've learned in the last 5, 6, 7 years that people love to just scream out of ignorance when they don't know at all what they're talking about. Yeah. I've probably been guilty of it a few times.
Maybe.
But there was just so much city stuff that had to do with why it was
yeah.
almost
And
impossible.
insurance.
He would have had to put basically, according to what I was told by him, they would have basically had to put a parking garage above the building in order to
supply.
reopen.
In order to satify the city, it just
Didn't make
doesn't
sense.
make any sense
like
for them.
Crave with like 3 stories of parking above it.
Imagine?
I would have loved it back in the back, like
Yeah.
behind it.
Yeah.
Knock down those
Or
trees.
down-
Just put the club in the
Down in the
basement.
ground.
Right. That's it.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just a parking garage. Oh, but the club is
It
downstairs.
would have had to been something weird like that because it feels like the that building was pretty janky. I mean, and that's what we all loved.
It was
about
hodgepodge, but it was
That's,
so good.
That's what we loved about
Dude, it
it.
had so much character.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And that, like, I've been in other rooms, and you know they happen to own another room now that is the opposite of that on the spectrum, where it is completely up to code.
It's
Yeah.
clean and up to
OSHA
code
would
and
give the sign off
Right?
on the riff any day of the week, and it's got a fantastic system.
Yes.
the sound system's the best
oh
in
my
town.
God.
It's the best in town.
Ooh, it's unreal. And even that room, like, it doesn't have that same character. You could just feel it.
Right,
Dude.
right,
There's
right.
40 years
I know.
of music history just oozing out of
Yeah.
that
There was
place.
so much
janky
sin.
wiring and all.
There's
Like,
so much sin in that building.
There was
Oh
so
my
much
God.
sin in the big room.
just you two alone. You met the quota.
Our reputation precedes
We
us.
might have contributed to some of that sin.
Maybe just a little.
But it is so true. And that is wild
There's
about
so much
nightclubs
sin
in
that
general because there are some, the riff is beautiful and it's fantastic. I've also been to other venues like that are just like so great and clean,
Everything's there.
but they haven't been yucked up with the
But they
sin
just
yet.
need 40 years worth
40 years of sin.
of debauchery.
Right?
Yes, horrible decisions.
Yeah,
Nice.
they just need to be debauched
Shit's
for
too
40
clean
straight
right now.
years. Yeah.
It's too
They need
clean.
cocaine residue somewhere.
Right?
Every fader.
Oh my God. They need cocaine. There's so many quotes happening right now. Holy shit.
How many mixing boards have been cleaned of
Oh
cocaine?
my God.
I can think of one other room, to me anyways, that has that same sort of cachet. And it's Lindbergh's.
Lindbergh's, yeah.
That room just fucking oozes
Yes.
character.
Oozes
Yes.
character and history, yeah.
And they've got that, like, what is it, like, I don't know, 200-year-old bar that
Yeah.
runs
One
a
of the
giant
oldest.
resonator. And if you know how to tune the frequencies just right to get
The
that
tin
bar
roof doesn't
vibrating,
matter. The tin ceiling
fuck the
doesn't
tin
matter.
roof. If I can make that bar start
Nice.
push back against me,
Yes.
like, because, dude, you talk to any guitarist,
You're fine.
talk to any guitarist and they're going to tell you about tone wood. Drummers are going to tell you about tone wood. The molecular bonds of that wood, as they loosen and age, they vibrate more freely. And that bar is just a gigantic 1,000-pound, I don't know, it's probably multi-1,000 pounds, I
Right.
don't even know. But it's a lot of pounds
Yeah.
of tone wood
Yeah.
that's set there for hundreds of years. And if you
Spongy
can
wood.
hit that
Yeah, yeah.
right frequency, the mix becomes the most lush and gorgeous thing.
Is that why the Rainmakers always sound so good there?
I'm sure.
Because they're
Potentially.
coming. They're
Yeah.
coming back, by the way. They're coming
be a fun
back.
one.
But we were
I'm
there
so
one
glad
time.
there's fucking live music happening in Lindbergh's.
Oh,
again.
Yeah,
totally.
yeah,
That
yeah.
place is so freaking cool. We went. Did we go to the Rainmakers? Or was that when I was?
I've been there. I don't know
Yeah,
if you've
so
been
I think
there.
we went there one time when the Rainmakers were, but they're coming back. I don't remember the date, but for some reason I've played there a few times and I never could get the sound that I liked on stage or out front or whatever. And whoever, I don't want to say who the sound person was because I actually don't remember his name.
That room's a bitch.
But then the
Yeah.
Rainmakers played and I was just like, why can I hear everything perfectly?
They brought some shit in.
Well, they brought some shit, but they also had their guy.
Yeah, sure.
That had this maybe.
Their guy's important.
I cut my teeth at Lindbergh's mixing, sitting with Justin Walker a lot, who was there for a brief period of time, and he was like, dude, that dude was like, when you watch a lead guitarist play and he's all over the place and doing the whammy bar and the fucking like Tom Morello style switching and stuff, like that was Justin Walker on a mixing board. And so like I got the privilege of working in that room with an absolutely fantastic engineer.
Nice.
And some of the shows I saw were just unbelievable.
Is Justin the guy with the black hair?
No, I think it was brown hair.
Okay, different guy.
No,
different guy.
Be.
It's obviously
he's
colored.
out of town now. He
dyed
left
black
a couple years ago. Him and Sabrina Lynn Dietz were together, and
Oh,
they
okay,
split
different guy.
and went down to like Georgia or some shit. And now I think they're in Arizona. Anyways,
Miss Sabrina.
Sabrina was great too.
She's a good talent. Yeah. I sang with her one time at Lindbergh's. She got up with me in Violet and did some harmonies. The only time I ever sang with her. Yep.
I would have loved to have seen that.
It was. I have a picture somewhere, but there's no video. But it's just she. I don't remember what song it was, but we're just using one mic, and she was. Oh, she's just an incredible talent. I think she had her butterfly wings on. I'm not sure.
So one thing I was wanting to get into a little bit is like, let's see, how do I say it? Because I don't know any of this for sure. I'm just pulling this out of my ass. So
I love it.
there's not been any like
Sources say
there's not been any talk, but sometimes I wonder if you've ever felt this, like, you know, you are kind of like Matt Baker. You're the dancing sound guy. You're kind of like the free spirit. You're kind of like the hippie that has like, you know, opinions about things, and you express your opinions and things like that. And sometimes, you know, I wonder how many people just kind of don't understand how much depth is behind where you are on certain subjects. And of course, I'm not going to belittle it by calling it a right or a left or things like that. I'm not even talking politically. I'm just saying kind of some of these thoughts and things you've expressed, we've all seen you express online. You're not just a little simple hippie, like, oh, throw stuff out to get attention. You have a pretty that's why I read a text before we even started the show. Somebody messaged me like, this is going to be good because his life is interesting. I don't know how many people know it. When we talked earlier about you being actually one of our earlier guests, we've spent 3 hours talking to you about your life before. We just haven't actually thrown it out to the public yet.
You know, I exist as an open book, obviously. I'm compelled to share every goddamn thing. I'm not sure why, but I am. And so I like to think that like a lot of these people, they know these things because I've written about these things, but then it's also like there's so much chaff out there and fucking TLDR. Who's going to read all the 90 paragraphs of some bullshit that I post? Because I get it. Like, there's a lot of them that I'm just like, well, I'm going to scroll on. But yeah, I like to think that it comes from a place of experience.
Yeah. But you know why I even presented it that way? Because I think it feels like in the last few years, there are people who will get on similar 4-page or 4-paragraph rants, and they're total shit.
There's no depth to it at
all. Like they don't know what they're talking. I don't care. I'm not even dealing with whether we're talking about sides. I'm just saying it's amazing how somebody will just mouth vomit and they have nothing to back it up. And I've seen it, you know, that we've all seen it. And I would hate for somebody to just automatically compare your thoughts and rants to the ones I'm talking about. Right. Because that is not where you're coming from. Does that...
yes.
No,
am I presenting it weird?
I appreciate that. And because we do live in this like super divisive and hyper polar society. Yeah. We all exist in our echo chambers. And of course I got people gassing me up and saying, oh yeah. But in reality, like, dude, I'm cognizant of the fact that there's some people out there who probably are like shut the fuck up. Man.
Right, right.
Like, I get that, and in some cases it might even be warranted. But yeah, I would hate for them to just completely say, "Oh, it's this fucking pinko commie
Right.
bullshit."
Right.
He doesn't love America.
Right.
Because like it's coming from a place of exactly the opposite of that.
Right.
Like, I love this country so much, and I love what we stand for so much that I'm willing to fight for it. I'm willing to, at the very least, try to make an effort to project my ideals. Consequences be damned.
Yeah.
Right.
Because I'm sure that, you know, let's think about what I do is when I'm not running sound, I am usually installing audio video in a bunch of churches in the Bible Belt.
Which is very interesting.
And trying to reconcile those things is often a challenge. But, you know, I'm sure there's business I've missed. I'm 100% positive that I've probably driven away a lot of clientele. I've had several mentors whom I respect greatly say, "Hey, dude, you're probably pushing some people away that would do business with you otherwise." But my question is, like, did I really want to do business with those people?
Right.
Exactamundo.
Because what I provide is hopefully a product that is, you know, a decent quality product at an affordable rate for especially a lot of small houses of worship and a lot of small bands and small venues. And I do that regardless. Like, dude, there's dudes that I have literally gone toe-to-toe with on Facebook for years. Kevin Flannery comes to mind. I love that dude. And he and I have been juxtaposed on just about every single political issue for the longest time.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever we get together on a stage, like, dude, it's simpatico.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it is like our political differences have literally never been an issue. Because I respect his professionalism, he respects my professionalism, and when we get together, great things happen.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, I think that there's a lot of that where it's like, dude, we can be on opposite sides of the spectrum and still fucking work together and be civil with each other.
I wanted to just touch on that too, because there's some things that I disagree with you on.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the way you argue with the people who argue with you, because you're not calling names. You're not calling people out. You're just saying, hey, think about this. Think about this. I will actually
the way you debate.
I will
is
actually
very
read your
respectable.
posts and your comments. There are some people I'm just like, I don't disagree with everything. I'm just saying, if I do disagree, I'm just like, I'm going to read this. And I'm actually interested because the way you debate is gentle and nice and kind. You never name call. You're one of the only people.
He does name call a little, but
Yeah,
usually
a
it's
little bit.
more.
Well,
but usually it's
if
more
somebody
kind of
warrants
benign.
it,
it's a little
more
bit
benign.
like more esoteric.
Sometimes you get pushed.
but
I
I know,
get that.
But I know what you mean.
You know
they're
what
like
I mean?
zingers from space.
But I like how you actually come back with actual information instead of just name calling. You come back with information. And I can't think of a specific one right now.
Well, I try really hard to avoid ad hominem attacks.
Yeah.
Because, again, like, civil discourse, I feel like, is really the foundation that we're all, you know, getting so loud and trying to protect.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
It's healthy.
It's like, I mean, when you boil it all down, whether you're a conservative that is trying to uphold the traditional values that you grew up with, or whether you're a progressive that is trying to move into a state that is perhaps different than, you know, whatever the conservatives are trying to uphold.
Right.
What we really want on both sides of it is just like, we want a legit place to raise our families.
Yeah.
We want to be healthy and free. And all the bullshit is so much chaff that they're putting forward to really, I mean, I have to think to keep us divided, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Because we have the same common denominator. A lot of folks on the right will call it big government. A lot of folks on the left will call it big business. But we all know it's the same, like, fucking 12 assholes. Regardless.
Yes. Exactly.
Like whichever side you're on.
Yes.
Is it big government? Is it big business? I don't know.
Call it what
It's
you want.
12
the same
assholes.
fucking
The same
12
12 assholes.
who have been fucking shit up
Right.
for thousands of years.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
And if we can't get to that point where we're all together on that, then that's really unfortunate. And so, like, I get shit from my wife all the time where it's like, why don't you just unfriend that person? Mm-hmm. But like, it's actually become a point of like obstinate, stubborn bullshit on my part where I'm like, no, I'm not going to unfriend that
Right.
person.
I want to know what they're saying.
no.
I'm going to go have dinner with
Damn
them.
right. Let's go. Let's go play volleyball.
And that's the stuff that I personally have super appreciated about you because we know we can differ on things here and there. I don't care if it's political or if it's about Led Zeppelin. It doesn't matter. We can sometimes differ about things, but it's kind of like we're in that same
rolls together.
Right. But the thing I wanted to kind of bring up about that, and this would be a fun story for you to maybe retell because you've already told it, because I know I kind of giggle sometimes when I see you in the midst of a, one of these online days, like when we're like, ooh, like outside friends are texting each
Matt
other
is
like
online today.
You've been seeing Matt today?
Have you seen what Matt said? What's going on over
whoever
here?
it is.
Shit.
Because I want to revisit that story about you running sound in Florida, I think. When you were basically homeless and sleeping on a hammock, but you had a full-time job, a good job, walking down to the bar, running sound, and you good relationship with the club owner. You were like living life, but also actually homeless.
Right.
Am I off on this?
No,
you know which one I'm talking about.
That's dead on. Yeah. So it started. We ate mushrooms at Sequoia Park. I don't know if I got into that last time or not.
I don't think so.
Me and a bunch of other fucking teenagers, including my wife, like ate mushrooms at Sequoia Park and just talked about how cool it would be to just fucking go. And to that point, my wife had literally only ever been to Ohio.
Outside of Missouri?
Right.
Yeah.
And I come from, and maybe we'll get into it later.
Oh, we will for sure.
I come from a little bit different circumstance.
Yes.
Where
It's a lot
we
of
had
bit.
been.
It's a lot of different.
it's a whole lot of like.
But go ahead.
When you're hiding in the woods with your mom, that's a lot of bit. But
That's a whole lot of bit different.
A lot of bit.
Well, and it's so hilarious because now we are, as of yesterday, 22 years since we met, and she is the child of a cop and a daycare instructor who were like heavily involved with the church for years and years. And if you know me, and we've been talking about my online persona, so to speak, you know that is an extreme juxtaposition from where it's a deviation for sure.
Right.
From where I come from.
Yeah.
Which is like I grew up with a bunch of outlaw folks, and we was all over the place trying to kick habits.
Gypsies, if you will.
However we got to. When it comes time to roll, you got to roll. And so to me, whenever this idea came up at Sequoia Park, and we're all, out of it and talking about
Tripping
how great
balls.
it is, I'm like,
You can say
Tripping
it.
balls. You can say it.
hey, this is
Fuck yeah.
this sounds like a rad idea. I'm down for that. Because like I felt like it was. And I'm not trying to rag on her because she's the best fucking person that I've ever met in my life. But like, I remember when I met her, Christina was like, "Oh, we come from a poor family or whatever." And I got there and they had like 3 vehicles in the driveway and they had like internet and shit.
And you're like, wait.
They had
They
internet?
had internet
Yeah, they
and
had
shit.
fucking internet in the 90s. And I was like, well, actually it was 2000, right?
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah, 22 years ago. So it was 2000.
Jesus.
And I was like, oh, okay. Like, there's a whole different level
This whole different level of poor.
of poverty that exists.
with all due respect, babe.
Love you, honey.
And
Bye.
so I felt like, okay, this will be a great opportunity for her to like find out about the world at large and to also find out that like being broke ain't the worst thing that can happen to you.
Right.
There's a lot worse things than being broke. Mm-hmm. And so I guess we sold all our shit and we bought a van and we took off and we fucking lit out for the territories.
So you were kind of homeless by choice.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were
Yeah.
rubber tramps for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We, and like we were
the
young
van life,
and
as they call it
dumb.
these days.
You were van life before it was
van
cool.
life before
it was a
cool.
YouTube channel.
Yeah.
We were young and dumb, and we, like I said, we lit out for the territories, and we listened to Bob Marley all over the country, and just fucking, got work wherever we could. We'd roll into New Orleans,
No kids
or
yet.
Panama City, or whatever. We had no kids. We had 2 dogs, a beautiful husky named Noelle, and my shepherd mutt named Magdalena, Maggie for short, and she ended up with Complex after that whole trip, but that was because we took a visit to my family in Mississippi, and so yeah, Maggie went bald. But
okay.
Wow.
yeah,
Okay.
I come from different folk.
Okay.
But so yeah, we had our 2 dogs and we split. And after several stops in random places, we ended up with my sister in Marionville, Florida. And then we went on to Panama City, which is, if you've ever been a vagrant, is an extremely vagrant-friendly city. Mm-hmm. It's one that you can be working and you can have resources under you within literally a matter of hours.
Wow.
Their entire trade is built on vagrants.
Yeah, yeah.
And so we ended
That's
up
where
at
Maggie's musical farm
Yeah,
is.
we went. Yeah. We stayed down in Florida for our anniversary, our first year.
Something like that.
Maggie's musical farm. She's like 20 miles from Panama City.
Go
Anyway,
ahead.
and we went to Panama City to enjoy the scenery.
And so, yeah, we ended up at this state park down at the very end of the strip. And, I mean, it was literally, like, on the ocean. And there was some local organization that was paying for us to be there because, we were fucking vagabonds.
Right.
And so after the first day, though, like, Christina got a job at Burger King. And I got a job at this place called Emerald City that was an amusement park. And I was at the very bottom of a 3-story go-kart spiral. And my job was to straighten out all these fucking kids who smashed into the wall at the bottom of this 3-story spiral. Oh, every single one of them.
And this
did.
started at Sequiota Park.
Yes.
And now you're
so
untangling go-karts.
Yeah, so now I'm untangling all these kids and getting smashed.
Right.
Absolutely just getting smashed. And so the first day just absolutely kicked my ass at Emerald City. And at the end of the day, I'm walking down the strip to find Christina at Burger King. And I passed this fucking karaoke joint, and their speakers sounded like shit.
Oh, that was awful. Sorry
Just
about
like that.
Yeah.
That's what they sounded like.
Yeah, their speakers sounded bad, and so I just dropped in and was like, hey, like, I think I can probably fix that. And the polarity was reversed on their cabinet, and so I opened up their box and, rewired their speaker cabinet, and it sounded way better.
Right.
And they were like, oh, do you need a job? Because we don't have a KJ, and we're a karaoke bar. And it's like, oh, okay. Sure. Yeah, this is way better than fucking pulling kids
Out of the spiral
and getting ran over all day.
Right.
And so, yeah, I spent the next, several months just hosting karaoke on the beach, making fun of drunk tourists.
Oh, my God. That sounds awesome.
While poor Christina busted her ass at Burger King. And that's been endemic of how our whole lives have gone. Is I just get to do all this cool shit, and she bust her ass at some fucking sandwich shop.
But at the end of the day, you still just went back to the van, and it was just it was kind of like a version of your best life at that time.
Yeah,
I'm assuming.
I'm
sure it was wild, but you chose to do it.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was all about the adventure and just the unknown. And speaking of
the cans,
yeah,
that's what I want to talk
unknown, we Hurricane Ike. So this would have been 2004. I can't remember. They all began to run together at some point. But Hurricane Ike came through, and we were in the Panhandle in a 1982 Ford Econoline that we had modified to have cabinets and shit. So our whole that was our rig
with 2 dogs.
But
with 2 dogs.
Of course, we're 19. And so at the time, I didn't fucking weatherize those screws when I mounted cabinets.
Right. Right.
And so the hurricane comes through, and our entire van gets absolutely flooded.
Oh, no.
All of our canned goods are in a 3-tier Rubbermaid shelf unit. All of them are completely full to the brim with water. And so we had probably 3 weeks worth of canned goods that just all the labels floated off.
Were you guys in the van when the hurricane hit?
Yeah, we were.
Oh my God.
Yeah, we
So
rode it out.
water's coming
Us
in
and the dogs in the water.
while you're in it.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Great fun.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it great fun.
No, I was high off my tits. It was great. No, it was great.
Yeah.
It got a little bit scary,
Right.
but for the most part, like,
But you were still in the mindset of,
fuck it.
this is what we're doing.
We're
So,
young
yeah.
and indestructible.
Right.
Yeah.
You know? Who among us hasn't been completely made of metal at that age?
Absolutely.
Right.
But, so yeah, all the labels fall off the cans, and for the next, 2 months, is it peas? Is it peaches? Is it green beans? We don't know. Just crack it open
Okay.
and find out.
What's for dinner tonight?
Today is peaches.
Peaches. Woo!
Oh, yes.
I love it.
Peach Day was the best day.
We talked about this. Dan and I talked about this one time. We were camping one time, and maybe it was Bonnaroo when we went to Bonnaroo.
We've told this story to each other.
We've told this story
for the last 4 years
but it's
since he told it to us.
It's like, let's take all the labels off our cans.
Yeah.
Let's just do it.
There was
just be in the
something
moment.
so fun about that
so
story.
cool.
Like,
Ooh, are we having chili? Or is it soup? Or is it peaches?
it's like, well, I'm not in the mood for this.
No,
It's
no,
like,
no.
you
This is
crack
what you're
it
getting.
open. This is what we're
what you're
getting.
damn
This is what
getting.
we got.
I love that.
Yeah.
Such a great story. And so your van survived, even though you had to do. How'd you dry it out? Did you just open the van?
We just opened the doors.
Right.
And
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Fan it.
squeegee it out. Yeah.
Squeegee. Fan. Did you have carpet everywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was gross. It
I'm sure it
smelled
smelled
for a while.
great.
Had that mildew smell for a little
got-
while.
You got a
but
wet van
It was me. It was a couple
and
of
wet
hippies and a
dogs.
couple of dogs living in
Right.
the van.
Smelled
it didn't
great.
smell good in the first place.
Right. It didn't smell good in the first place.
But all the while,
Could you
you're like,
imagine? Could you imagine being an outsider and smelling that van? God, how terrible that must have been.
careful doing mushrooms, kids.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't know where it's
You'll end up in
never
Florida
know.
living in a van during a hurricane.
It was Tolkien that said, stepping out the door is dangerous business, right?
That's
You
right.
never know.
You never know.
You never know where the road may lead.
Just want to jump over here. So that story, I'm so glad you told it because that was one of my favorites from when we first talked. And I love that. And it's actually
It's one of my favorites.
It's
too.
actually a really good lesson to think about. To think about that.
And I was trying to make a relatively serious point that all the while this was happening, they're both holding down full-time jobs, getting paid. I
Right.
mean, just,
having 2 dogs.
not expecting the government or the 12 assholes to pay them. They were actually making their own way and choosing it and loving life with their
Right.
dogs. And I just, for that to be something that you experienced at all, whether it was 6 months or 6 years, puts you in a place now where when you have thoughts, I listen. Whether I agree
Yeah.
with you or not, I listen
Gives
because
you
I'm
some
like,
grit.
he's not just fucking pulling shit out of his ass. He didn't go read an article.
Right?
The internet said.
I love when people read an article.
what the internet
and all of a
said.
sudden they know
I read John Steinbeck.
So C.S. Lewis said.
And so there's a lot of that I don't know if a lot of people generally know about you, and I don't know. And I think it made a difference to me when we first talked in that first interview that got lost.
For sure.
The Lost Chronicles.
Lost Chronicles.
Right?
Lost Unsung Dreamers.
Fucking
Bono.
Necronomicon, yeah.
Bonocron, whatever. I just want to
what
jump.
was
I just
the
want to jump over real quick.
Dead Sea Scrolls,
so-
the Apocrypha.
Yeah.
This is now among the annals of all the great lost
that's
media
right.
That's right.
throughout history.
That is right. Stephanie Cagel's here, Dan, our good friend Stephanie. She says Florida is the best. She lives in Florida.
The hell it is. It's sweaty.
It's so sweaty.
Mosquitoes.
It's a bit sweaty and
Dude,
skeetery.
I saw 2 mosquitoes carrying off a cow. And I heard one of the motherfuckers say to the other dude, "Hey, we can't go through the forest because the big ones are going to take this cow from us if we go through the forest."
I believe it.
That's Florida.
We drove a flat-faced 1963 or 4 GMC bus through Florida when we were on tour.
Yeah.
And that's when I learned what love bugs are.
Yeah.
Dude, the love
Well,
bugs.
so what is a love bug?
I don't know for sure, like what they
I thought
like.
they were
like I
vegan.
couldn't, like it's kind of like what is a woman? Like we won't get into that.
We won't get into
But
that.
Biologically, I don't know what they are, but they are like when there's a heavy snow in like Missouri or something, like so heavy that you almost have no visual. You know, like when snow can be so big of flakes.
It's called a blizzard.
Okay, blizzard, but
Maybe. I don't know.
there's these.
I'll take it.
There's these things in Florida called love bugs.
Okay.
That if
Stephanie,
you,
back us up here.
she will. If you
She
go,
says the true story. They are crazy big. They will kill
they're
your car.
crazy big, and they're like 50% or more of them are actually fucking while they're flying. That's why they're called
So
love
they're
bugs.
love bugs.
So it's usually two bugs connected. And we're driving down, and they're hitting the windshield just like a heavy
Hailstorm. Like a
Not
hailstorm.
hail, but like they're light. They're bugs.
Okay.
They're like flying
They're
bugs.
not like June bugs with that heavy case. that
No,
they
I'm
carry
saying
with them.
that's why I'm comparing it to snow instead of rain. They're just very light, but they're just hitting your windshield, and
it's
you got to
like
put
this.
the wipers on just to see where you're going, and it's all just these
bugs. Is that
flies
the ones that Sean, not
that are
Sean, but
that stretch
licked?
licked off the front of the
Yeah.
bus. Yes, love bugs.
I'm
How
a
do they
dare.
taste?
I didn't taste them. Stretch did.
So it's just like this velvet kamikaze of hedonism.
It is. It is.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yes.
Right.
All right, I'm
three
coming
out
around
of-
on Florida.
3 out of 4 of them that hit your windshield are fucking. They're
Nice.
connected
Hey.
at the,
Everybody goes
at
to
the
Florida.
ass.
Right.
Fucking solidarity.
Absolutely. Why not? Why not live
Get it.
life? I'm just
I
going
think
to
that's
back
why
up
they
a
call
little
them
bit
the love
because we've had
bugs.
a few comments come in while we were talking these amazing stories. And Robert Crook says, I love Matt's ability to intelligently debate a given subject. I have learned some things from him that have helped change my heart on a few issues. And that's what I was
Who's
saying.
that? Who's that?
Robert
That's
Crook.
Robert Cook.
Yeah.
And that's what
I
makes
agree.
it all worth it.
And that's the thing.
Yeah.
But also Robert and Cheryl and people like most of the people who watch this show are open-minded like that and are willing to listen, no matter what their views are, whatever my views
Well,
are.
as soon as you start name calling and just
I'm out.
making like a big idea, even if you're making a great point, I'm fucking out.
Yeah.
I can't
Don't be
deal
mean.
with that aggressive on whatever polarized
what
side.
side.
I mean,
That's when I'm just kind of out. But
Yeah.
when somebody's kind of like, no, like listen to why I'm saying what I'm saying, blah, 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 which you're actually great at. I don't have any issues with stuff like that.
I don't know. I feel like I'm getting better at it. Like I haven't always been
No, we haven't.
great
Mature.
about it. Yeah. But I'm trying and I'm making an effort.
I feel that
And-
way too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
4
Well,
years ago,
dude,
I'm not the man I am today.
A lot of people understand that you're just kind of ribbing people about Led Zeppelin. Anyway,
I was just talking about how, like, you know, the kids, they don't get it. Me and a buddy were talking about how, you know, the great technological changes that have occurred in the past 20 years.
Yeah.
And how the kids these days are just, they won't be able to grasp the sort of, like, technological shifts that have happened because we're getting to that, like, exponential snowball rate where
Yeah,
we're
already
the
there.
amount of technology that we have is literally like doubling and doubling and doubling, and as the time reduces, but like also culturally, right?
Yeah.
Because like we all didn't have social media,
yeah.
Yeah.
and look at where we've come in the past fucking, I don't know, 12 years or so,
Right.
roughly 12, 16 years, something like that, where we have become connected as a society in ways that were literally unimaginable
Yes. Yeah.
prior to. And we're just figuring it out, man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, yeah, shit gets kind of heated sometimes, and we all say shit we shouldn't, but it's because we're new at this.
Yes. Yes.
Right. And but the
Right?
kids,
Yeah.
they're growing up with it.
The kids are growing up with
So
it,
they're
and
like,
some
"Why
of
is it
us
so
older
weird?"
people are just we're new to it. You know. I love driving my 13-year-old particularly. I love driving him nuts because I'll use all of the whatever the words are that are kind of big right now. Like,
Oh, slay.
yeah, bussin'.
Spill the tea.
Bussin'.
Arson probably just fucking
No
lost
cap.
their mind. No cap. No, for real, for real.
But I'll use them all wrong. I'll
Oh
use
yeah,
them all
absolutely.
wrong. Yeah, yeah.
I use them as ratchet as fuck.
I'll just be like, man, this pizza is no cap. And he's like, oh, God.
Oh my God, Dad, stop.
But he'll try to teach you.
Well,
It's super
sometimes
fun.
he actually, I do kind of want to know. And that's the point of
Yeah.
what we're talking about is that there is an element of it that is actually very new and just all these kind of things. But then there's another element of like when we wished our parents and grandparents understood how awesome Pac-Man was.
Right.
So there's some of that too.
Dude, check this out. Like my kid renamed themselves, and like whenever I remember going to school for a parent-teacher conference, and their teacher, without any prompting from us whatsoever, referred to them as arson. Despite my hesitancy to, like, the anarchist in me says, hey, maybe you shouldn't pick a handle that's going to get you put on an FBI watch list. But despite my reticence about that, like, dude, how fucking cool is that? I would have never had the balls as a teenager to insist that my teacher call me by some badass fucking nickname.
Right.
Like, how cool is that, though? Like, where, I mean, they're hip to something that is on an entirely new level.
Yes.
And that acceptance is actually really cool.
I'm so here for it.
Right.
Hell yeah.
My
Right.
brother and I went through a phase. We were very young of calling our parents by their first names.
Mm-hmm.
And in the 70s, my parents were not stoners, but they were hippies
Mm-hmm.
in a way. But they were not stoners because they have the same blood as me and we can't handle that shit. They fall asleep, no fun. Anyway, but we went through this phase of actually calling them by their first name. And we
Fucking
did it.
Brad and Janet.
Right. It's totally, it's like, hey, Linda, when is dinner done? Hey, Phil, welcome home. How was your work day?
Just to fuck with
And
him.
I swear my brother and I were maybe 9 and 11. We hated it. We hated it.
Right.
We thought it was super cool. We're living in California. We thought it was just the coolest thing in the world. All these other fucking
You
people.
hated it. Why'd you do it? What are you talking about?
We were
Because it was edgy.
because it was
Yeah,
edgy
yeah.
and cool, and that's what the late 70s were about, was being edgy and cool and different, and our friends were doing it. It's like,
The point is, each generation has
The
gone
gen-
through this phase.
yes,
where,
and the whole point of that is that we as children were like, nah, it's mom and dad.
Right.
We chose, which I appreciate the way you're allowing them to change their name, and it's like, go ahead, do it. Be free, be you.
I thought I gave him a really cool name. I still love the name.
I love that name. Yes. We were just talking about that earlier.
However, who cares?
And maybe it'll
Yeah,
go back someday.
right.
Who gives a shit?
Right.
Maybe it'll go back someday. Who knows?
If it
But
does,
why not?
cool.
Who
If
cares?
it doesn't,
if it doesn't, fine.
it literally costs me nothing.
Right.
Until they're 16 when they get a driver's license?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Well, and at that point, we will.
You'll talk about it.
If they need to go and legally change their name, I'm here for it.
Right.
Whatever.
There you go.
Right.
What about your
It-
other kids? Are they all sticking with it?
They've all
so far?
got their government names so far.
their government name.
True story.
Right?
True story.
I love it.
However, it's like if they want to change them,
Right.
but that's the thing is that we had intention whenever we named them, and specifically, like,
and they're your oldest, right?
with them, the intention for that name, and I mean, hopefully they won't care. I share their dead name. It is Willow, Willow Rose, and willows have incredibly deep roots, and but they need to be close to a water source
Yes.
because they drink deep.
That's why the best willows are right by rivers.
That's right.
Yep.
And the other
And-
ones don't make it.
Yeah. And so willows are old and they're new because they're constantly drinking, like, and so to me, like, it represents something that's new, but also something that is ancient.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But that's radical.
Yeah.
That's radical to me, right? And so whenever they decide to choose their own handle and choose their own mode of existence, fuck yeah, that's
Yeah.
radical.
I saw this coming.
That's the name. That's what I did.
Right.
You know, like, hell yeah.
No, that's been, yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
love it.
Absolutely. And I think it's, just to try to make a stupid comparison, but it's also somewhat relevant. When 14-year-olds were screaming and crying and fainting when the Beatles showed up, and their parents, who were our age, were like,
rolling their eyes, whatever.
I don't get it.
why aren't they listening to
Fucking Perry Como.
right.
Big
It's
band.
kind of similar to the same thing. Have you seen the meme or the, I don't know who posted it, or it might have just been one of those feeds thing for me, but where all the candles, it's all candles, and they're leading a light bulb head. All their heads are candles.
Okay.
But they're leading a light bulb to the gallows. They're going to, well, not gallows, but they're going to hang him. Like,
That's the gallows.
Explaining memes
Isn't gallows-
is the most boomer thing, and
so
I fucking love it. I love it.
Yes, boomers unite.
Yes.
Right? Explaining
okay,
memes.
correct.
I wish I had it.
Is the gallows when you chop your head off?
No, the gallows is the hangman.
Is
The gallows is when they hang you.
Okay,
Guillotine
okay.
is when they
Trapdoor
So
chop
they're
shit.
leading a light bulb head to the gallows, and it's
Guillotine
all candle
is the head
head.
chop off. Guillotine.
Okay.
That's the chopping.
It's all candle head.
It's only a guillotine if it's from the guillotine region of France.
Oh, thank you.
Otherwise, it's just
It's just a head chopper.
choppy.
It's just choppy.
Yep.
Okay, go on with your meme explanation.
That was it. I'm just saying, it's that thing where, like, when somebody is kind of like,
Oh, I see what you're saying.
you know, bringing in new ideas that might
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
be the,
It's like,
the better
no!
the better idea.
can't
You
do
know,
that.
all the candle heads are gonna hang the light bulb head
Right, I
because
got you.
he's just a fucking rebel. You know, and so sometimes I think
You're
what
gonna
all
ruin
of our
society.
kids are going through right now with their pronouns or they're changing their names or whatever else. There is a
Or
little
just dealing
bit
with
of it.
social media.
There is of course, as an old school 50-year-old boomer, I'm just kind of like, fuck, I'm
so funny because we're not.
I'm confused.
of course, I'm not to an extent, but then I do have a little bit of that. Why is my kid Beatlemania?
Right.
Maybe the Beatles are awesome.
But also, like,
I just went into all kinds of crazy.
So
thoughts
many
right there.
things.
But anyway, yes. Go
so
ahead.
we talked about how, I mean, and of course it gets scary for people where they're like, oh, now I've got to like change pronouns, and what if my kid changes their name and blah blah blah. It's been a relatively easy transition. What wouldn't be easy for me is if my kid fucking killed themselves because
Right.
they weren't accepted for who they were.
Yes. Right.
And the suicide rates among trans and LGBT teens who aren't able to be out to their family
Yes.
Ooh, hell
and
yeah.
to
Specifically
have
their
a support
family.
system
Yeah.
is way worse
And to be honest,
than the sample.
that's-
Like, you know what I
that's
mean?
nothing
It's way
new.
worse than the control.
It's
Yes.
nothing
It's
new.
statistically
Look at the 70s and the
significant.
80s. Look at the 70s and,
And
80s.
specifically
of
to
kids.
family.
Kids who
I
couldn't
think
come out.
I think just like all of us, whether we're struggling with that particular subject or not, if our friends are not into it, it's like, okay, it's our friends. But if mom and dad is disappointed, I remember a much lighter but kind of similar. I had a friend who was the son of a Baptist preacher. And there was many siblings. It was one of these families that had like 7 or 8.
No shit.
And yeah, there
Weird,
was-
right?
Yeah.
There was a couple of sisters and several brothers. Anyway, she at like 45 years old or 47 years old, one of the sisters of my friend had a medical issue. I can't even remember what it was, but it doesn't matter. She wanted to bring her mom to the hospital. It was, I don't know if it was like cancer. It was a big thing. It wasn't just a common cold. And so the nurse station is having her fill out this form. And one of the questions on the form is, are you a smoker? Now, you can't lie to your doctor. You
Right.
can't lie to your
Right.
doctor, your attorney, or your tax man.
Or
Is
your
that-
dentist.
Is that that's a doctor? We had this
I
argument
know,
before.
but I'm just saying.
Anyway, so she's brought her mom for support, but she's got this fundamental strict Baptist background, and she has to admit in front of her mom that she's a smoker. We're talking 47 years old,
Right.
and she is
Devastated.
stressed to the max that this is the first time I'm going to have to admit in front of my Baptist preacher wife, mother, that I smoke. And just something as simpler, I feel like that is
Seems
simpler.
seems really simple.
Simpler than LGBTQ community.
What era was this?
This happened just like 10 years ago,
Right.
but she was like 47 years old, scared to death to admit in front of her mother that she's a smoker.
Oh yeah, it's huge.
Yeah,
Right?
huge. So
Like-
imagine the LGBTQ community and all of the things that they, I don't want to call it struggle, but that they struggle with.
It's a struggle.
Well,
Or that they, you know what I'm trying to say.
Well,
that is so much more than just
in-
admitting to your parents that you smoke,
Yeah.
is all I'm saying.
especially in a restrictive household.
Yes.
Where they don't have that, like, I don't know. We care about our kids, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we give a shit about them and their well-being. And so, I don't know. To me, whenever they don't have that sort of support system, it's tragic. And it literally, again, it costs nothing. It's just me. You know what was the hardest part? Wasn't even getting over saying, like, she, her. It was the tertiary pronouns. Your sibling instead of your sister. This is my child instead of my daughter.
Right. Right.
And so, but like, other than literally just learning to change my speech patterns a tiny bit, it's nothing.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's nothing. It didn't cost me anything
Right.
to support them.
And I talked to them when I was giving them lessons.
Yes.
And I was like, that
I want to
change-
resume those so bad.
That change happened during that time I was still giving them lessons. And I was like, I am so sorry if I mess up because I'm new to this.
Yeah.
Super new. And so were they. You know, I'm still doing it. I'm still doing it.
Well, I
And
mean, I would say
it's hard to do it, but
I would
they
say
were
that's-
like, hey, that's okay. I get
good.
it. I
Good.
get it. But they hadn't changed their name
Because
yet.
they-
because
your
they got
heart.
Matt as their daddy, and so they can be a little more like, okay, that's
Yeah.
okay.
I said the
But,
whole
but
thing
the people
of it.
that freak the hell out
Yeah,
when
then
you're
you
actually
guys need to
trying,
relax a
when
little.
you're actually trying,
I was trying, and
there's
Well, yeah, but
a
even
little bit
those
of that
people,
kind of stuff too.
like, you need to extend them a little bit of grace, because do they see that you're actually trying? They might have overlooked that, but
Yeah.
it's on top of like 100 other fucking
Sure.
microaggressions
Yes.
that they face throughout their day.
Totally.
And so, yeah, it sucks if you end up catching hell for that. But like, dude, if I catch hell once for,
That's good.
fucking up
but I
once,
also
That's
see
good.
like, that's
that,
so much better.
Yeah, and it still didn't cost me anything.
Yeah.
It
but I'm
still didn't
sure
cost
that
me anything.
anyone who is in that realm can see that people like us will struggle, and they have a sensitivity to that, and they're like, "Oh, that's okay, that's all right. I appreciate your trying."
But
Because
look
we're
at
new
us.
to it. A lot of us are new to it.
But we learned how to internet in
Yes,
the last
exactly.
20 years. Fucking, we
Yes.
can learn how to
Of
respect
course,
people
we've done
as well.
We've done better
That's a
tonight
great
than we
point.
have in the last 6 weeks.
That's a
you know,
great point.
with the pronoun thing. And
a great point.
I don't mean to demean it by saying the pronoun thing, but it is new and it's respectful. It's just being respectful to somebody who wants to be who they want to be.
And like, using it in this context is new. However, it is important to point out that, like, you have used non-gendered pronouns for people your entire life.
Yeah.
Like, the mailman, they just dropped off the package. I don't know what gender they are, and so I
right.
refer to them as they.
I still
Like,
call him the mailman.
Yeah, they dropped
Right.
off the package.
They
But-
dropped off the
but
package.
exactly, they
a
dropped it
baby
off.
that you don't know
Whenever
the gender
you're
of
referring to somebody that you're unsure
Yeah.
of, like,
Yeah.
because maybe you've never met them. Then
yeah,
you
not,
say
not
they.
because you're confused about how they look.
No, because
you've never even
met the
them.
person, but you have to refer to
Exactly.
them in either a professional context or a social
That's a
context.
good point.
And so we've been using non-gendered pronouns our whole lives.
Yes.
True.
And all they're
yes.
asking is like,
How you doing on your neatness over there?
I'm getting a little,
It's a little
low,
shy.
but I'm also
If you let Dan
Probably.
keep drinking, he's gonna
Yeah.
finish that bottle on you before you know it.
won't
Just kidding. I'm just
All right.
playing. So I'm gonna go back. So this was
That's
a
good.
great
Those are-
topic, and
yeah,
maybe
those are great
maybe
points.
it'll erupt even more in a minute, but because it's a
have
very
we broke the internet yet?
we've broken the internet.
You've broke my internet because actually, literally, just 30 seconds ago, when you said that about the mailman and they brought my mail,
So true.
my boomer ass is sitting here going like,
Exactly.
You've been doing it your whole life.
I've been doing it. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, we've said they about everything.
Yeah.
Like if I've got to
It
go
seems
get a
plural.
membership at the public pool, it's like, well, they want $20.
Yeah.
I don't even know who I'm
Yeah.
talking about.
Whenever we say, they say da 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 da.
yeah, they say
Who
is
are
the
who
ultimate.
The fuck are they?
the pizza person is dropping it off on the porch. Well, yeah, they left it right there.
Yeah, they left it right there.
You know what I mean? Like,
and they don't knock on your door anymore.
We extend that courtesy to anonymous folks,
right?
Whom we may never actually like physically meet and interact with in our whole lives.
Yeah.
Why not?
The least we could do is extend it to people we love.
True that.
Yeah, love and who won it.
True that. So I'm going to go right back here.
That's great.
We have a mile long of comments we haven't talked about. So I want to go way back.
Broccoli, go to the comments.
Broccoli, go to the comments because we don't say lettuce. So it is Dean Daisy. He's talking about sound stuff. So Dean is talking with. This is like back. I don't know what time is it. What time is it? Yeah, this is about a half an hour ago. He commented this because we were talking about sound.
A lot of shit's happened since
A lot of shit has happened. That's why I want to go back and I want to do this. So he says, serious Soundman question relating to bassists and their equipment/stage settings. Mm-hmm. What is your favorite thing and your pet peeve about how a bass player sets their sound on stage? Equipment, tone, settings, volume, line in, line out. What makes you happy?
Okay, so this is actually a really good question. And what makes me happy is manageable stage volume. If you're rocking an 812 in a 300 headroom, save your back and my console some effort, and let's just tone it down just a bit. However, really, like, specifically Dean, dude's got tone for days.
Yeah.
And, like, after you've been doing it a while, you get to know, like, almost immediately. Like, I can probably look at a lineup of dudes without holding instruments and just be like, that dude's got tone.
Right.
Agreed.
Like, that guy.
Agreed.
He's got tone.
Yes. We had a big convo with Jody Guy about this kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm. You just know. Like, after a while, you just know. And so I absolutely prefer when an instrumentalist shapes their own tone and takes it seriously. Because that makes my job so much easier. And, like, I trust your EQ choices, dude. As long as it's not completely overdriving my rig.
Right.
Like, because here's the thing that so many people don't get is that I am pushing the mix to compete with the loudest natural thing that's happening on stage, right? Typically that's drums.
Yeah.
However, sometimes it's not drums. Sometimes it's the dude rocking an 812 or the dude rocking 2 Marshall full stacks in Crave.
Right. It's like,
and as much as we all love instruments, the folks that are paying to get in the door want to hear the vocals. They need to be intelligible. I need to be able to get the vocal intelligibility to a maximum, and I've got to push those vocals up above whatever the loudest thing in the room is. And if you're the loudest thing in the room and I've got to push the vocals up above you, then, you know, that becomes problematic.
Yeah.
And it reduces the overall satisfaction, the overall, you know, value to our end users, which are the guest.
Yes.
Right? Because as much as we want it to be about us and we're up on stage and we're the ones doing the shit, like, the people that are paying for the tickets and that are buying the booze are the ones that we need to satisfy. And, like, so that's part of it, is that for players like Dean, I trust that he knows who the end user is and who we need to satisfy. And he'll work with me on that. And he will make sure that his stage volume isn't overwhelming. He'll make sure that, you know, his tone is working within the parameters of the system. But we also, you know, just knowing who we're here for. It's not about us. It's not about, you know, any of our individual egos. It's just about how good the end user feels at the end of the night.
Yes.
And are they going to associate those good chemicals that they got in their brain with your brand?
Right.
Yeah.
Good call. Yes.
Yeah, that's
right.
And that's why
a great way to put it.
You're like my favorite sound guy.
Because I think brand, that's a fantastic way to describe what you do. Because there are some acts, maybe not local, maybe different,
or maybe local,
their fans do want to come in and actually ruin their ears and ruin their lives with too much volume, too much high end, and leave the room ringing in their ears. That's actually a brand in and of itself.
Yeah.
And for a sound guy to sort of tailor to that, because I've definitely been in some venues where the volume was medically dangerous.
So I don't want to...
But it was like, that's what CBGB's, I actually saw a couple bands play at CBGB's, which I feel so privileged to be able to even say that.
How fucking dope is that?
Oh, it was
Jelly.
fucking...
God.
Jelly.
Talk about character.
Oh, it was amazing. And the volume was medically dangerous. I don't know how else to describe it.
Like, we can't hear beyond 120 decibels. The human range of hearing
becomes a
only
wash.
goes to 120 dB.
Yeah.
130 dB is the range of human pain, and 35 to 140 dB is the range of human death. Right?
No.
So it's physically possible to get so loud you die.
Audio waves can kill you.
Yes.
Yes.
Or make
they
you
can
poop.
melt you.
I heard they can make you poop.
Yeah, they can do all kinds of things.
The brown note is real.
But it's interesting because
we were working this gig at Backwater Jacks here recently, down at the lake, and they got a rocking system that is so loud, and their DJ was playing, and they hit a fucking note that I swear to God, it tickled my prostate.
So your exam's done.
Yeah,
Good.
dude.
You're good. It's active. It's good. Clear. Clear.
Almost got off there.
You have something you want?
Well, Jared said, referring to the same comment that Dean just made, I think.
Okay.
Dean, your stage only as loud as you need to monitor your instrument. Let the PA do the heavy lifting, provided it can do the job.
True.
Line out start at 50%. That part's adjustable. The big key is not messing with it during the show.
Dude.
Amen, brother.
If you need adjustments, use the sound guy, not that knob.
Yes.
Even though
Preach.
one requires communication, tour band will sound better through the PA rather than amplifier battles, blah, blah, blah.
Amen
That's my
to
answer
that.
anyway. Great question.
That's a great
that's typically,
question.
I mean, fucking preach, Jared. Because that's typically my answer as well, is that, like, dude, I get it. I know that y'all have been to 100 different rooms in the last 40 days, and you never know what you're going to get into. But if you'll just extend me a modicum of trust, I'll make you sound as good as you ever have.
Yeah.
And that's one of my biggest frustrations.
But just
playing,
work with me.
Playing
Right.
anywhere I've played in 30 some years that I've been playing live is that we do a sound check for a reason. And then you play your 7th song and shit starts changing. I swear
wanna
to
say-
fucking God.
I want to add something to the conversation, though.
Jeez.
I want to add something to the conversation. It's a two-way street between a band and a sound guy.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, certainly.
Because I have been, in bands
I've been impressed by sound guys before.
where the sound
chick
guy
singer.
does know what he's talking about, and where a sound guy actually does not. Like,
Right.
we're not talking about Matt Baker.
Right.
We're not talking about the things that Jared knows, and that, Nick from the old riff, he
Nick
was
Ryder,
good.
yeah.
Yeah, he was
Yeah,
good.
I like Nick.
There's
Nick was,
and there
Nick
was
had an impeccable ear.
Right.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
super clean,
Yes.
He was
pristine
good.
mixes.
And so when you're in a band that plays like venue, sometimes you walk in and the sound guy is a dope. He's
Yes.
a total dope.
Yes.
And you cannot trust.
I'll give props to Snap.
Yes,
Brian
Snap's a great
Staden.
sound
Brian
guy.
Staden.
Yeah, he's a great sound guy.
Go ahead.
But there are places where you'll play where the sound guy is not great.
Yes.
And so then you feel like, and your wife or your girlfriend is coming up to the stage going, I can't hear you. So
You
then
should
you turn
ask-
around and turn it up.
Yeah.
Because there's legitimately
Certainly.
stupid ass sound guys.
Yep.
Then you go to the next venue and someone knows what they're talking about.
And it's like
they're
heaven.
just like, keep your stage volume low. Trust me, I'll get your shit out on
heaven.
the PA.
But
we've
are
been-
you
we've been
willing
burnt-
to take that
Right.
gamble?
But we've
Then
been
you
burnt.
have
Yeah,
that
we've been
trust
burnt.
issue,
We've been burnt
right.
by that guy.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
we were
saying.
burnt by
That's
that
what I'm
guy.
saying.
So when I sing, I'm gonna sing like this.
So then the guy
I'm gonna
who
sing like this
then the
because he's
guy
not gonna
who-
get my vocal out
Then the
there.
guy who knows what he's talking about is like, "Fuck you!" It's like,
Yeah.
"I'm sorry, but I just came from 3 days of douche
Fucking-
rod over."
Yes.
Right. I get that.
With
and
its 4-channel fucking realistic mixer.
especially because like where my heart is 200 to 500 headrooms.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't want to go do big arena shows. There's a whole lot of shit to learn there, first of all, and I don't claim to be that guy. Like I think I've got a pretty good systemic grasp of what's happening, but like I don't know if I'm that guy that's gonna be able to handle the fucking arena shows. But God, I love 200 to 500 head rooms.
Yeah.
But also, you're right. It's just always every single night, back and forth. I know you just came from, having a shit show at the club before,
Right.
But please give me a chance.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think that would probably be the most important thing, is just to impress like that need for communication and realness, where it's like, dude, I'm here for you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm not trying to fuck about.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
There's no ego here.
I don't want to make $50 a night.
Mm-hmm.
I'm worth way more than $50 a night.
Right.
And so yeah, the last asshole that you had was worth $50 a night.
Yeah.
And you get what you pay for. And sorry about that venue. But
Yeah,
the
yeah.
venues that employ
Yeah.
me
Yep.
understand that there is a value to the product. And so if you will please just work with me, if we can have that level of communication where you just give me a chance, I think that's the biggest thing. And, again, it doesn't take me but a second to get to a level of rapport with dudes like Dean Daisy or whoever else, where it's like, okay, I get it. I see you.
That's true.
You've been doing this for a minute. I've been doing this for a minute.
That's true. And I remember working with you on whatever level, whether it was Violet shows, because I think I was already out of Machine Gun. But
You were.
it having done it for 20 years, you can just kind of eye contact with a guy and just be like, no, this dude knows. And then of course, song 1 or 2 of whatever he's doing, it's just like, yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but
And that's kind of cool. It's wild to me how we all live on that like ring. There's like a ring of like people that pay to get in, and then it goes out from there. And some of the outer rings are like all that the bands and the sound guy and sometimes the light guy. We live in a completely different world where ticket payers have no idea exist.
Yeah.
Like,
Right.
where we have like favorite sound guys. Like, I want this guy. And whoever Jenny
And dude,
paying to come in and see the band, they don't know
They don't
that
have a
we
clue.
specifically requested this guy or that guy.
it
or
makes
here's
so
how we
much
work together.
of a difference.
Yeah.
And I mean,
Hugely.
just ask my wife. Like, that woman hates going to shows with me, I'm sure. Because, yeah, it's really difficult for me to just show up at a show and be like, oh, yeah, this is fun. I'm like,
Sure.
yeah. And when the mix is great, then, of course, it's great. And I'm totally into it. But when the fucking guy is just, like, looking at his phone and doesn't even give a shit.
Taking smoke breaks.
Yeah, I remember specifically, like, I fell in love with Mood Ring Circus at a little bar, and they were up there just pouring their hearts and souls into their instruments, and whoever it was that was on the board that night was literally looking at his phone.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart.
And you're
to
just
see
like,
it.
I can't hear
And I was just like, dude,
this.
these dudes need...
They need
somebody who gives a shit.
Yeah.
And so as soon as I was in a position to, like, hire them and bring them in and do a show with them, I was like, dude,
I think we
you guys
saw
gotta
one
get
of
over
those
here.
shows.
Yeah.
It was
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah.
man, how fucking incredible. That was lightning in a bottle.
Yeah.
Did you do the CD release party?
Yes, I did.
Yeah, we were there.
That
That's,
was one of, like,
that's what
a
you're
feather
talking
in my
about.
cap.
Oh,
Yeah.
fuck,
That-
We
dude.
were there for that.
We were there that
What a
night.
magical
So
night.
freaking good.
That album is one of the
So
best
good.
things that's
Oh
been
my
produced
God.
in the 417.
I
Done deal.
Hands
agree.
down.
Done deal. Slam dunk.
Yes.
Fucking
Fight
Limbo
me.
Days.
Change
Oh
my
God.
mind.
Change
Whatever
my
the
mind,
meme
fight
is.
me, whatever the
Yeah.
meme is. Let's explain it. I want to just. So, the first Violet show that I ever did with you, I think when I talked about my monitors, because we're a 4-piece band and like it's 3-piece and a vocal. It's super simple and yet it's not simple. So when you have bass guitar and drums and a vocal, and the vocal is pretty loud and high, powerhouse, and you need more of it. I think I told you in my monitor, I said, I want you to turn it up as loud as it goes till it feeds back and then bring it back just a little bit. And I learned how to say that because that's what I needed. And you frickin' did that. You did that night. The first time we ever worked together. And you were so nice and so kind. And it was great. It was fan-fucking-tastic.
Well, and little did you know that's actually my standard practice.
I love that.
Whenever I open up a microphone, I will fucking push it until it feeds back. I will dial back the problem frequencies and push it a little further until it feeds back again and dial it back. And it's about walking that line between how much can I carve out of this monitor before I lose the body.
Yeah.
Before it's no longer pleasing to the ear.
Yeah.
And so it's trying to walk right up to that point where I've carved as many problem frequencies out of this mix as I can, and it still sounds decent to you.
Yeah.
And
I can work it myself.
Right.
I've done this a number of years, and so therefore, and after maybe a song or two, you realize that.
Right.
And it was a neat relationship that happened without any words. And it went on from there. I was like, we came back there and did a few shows, and it was like, you got this.
You know what it is too? Is this is really interesting to me because I'm especially finding it over the last couple years where I feel like 9/10 of the battle is won by me just setting expectations from the beginning. Where, I mean, and a big part of that is done because my brand, so to speak, right? And so people expect a sort of premium experience. And whenever they expect that premium experience, like that's what they're going to deliver to themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know what I mean?
For sure.
Like, so much of it is just me fucking, I remove a fader. You know what I mean? Like, but they expect to have this like incredible experience, and so they do. But of course, I'm communicative and I respond to their needs. At least I try to. But yeah, a lot of it is just like whenever people think they're going to have a good time, they will. And so I do my best to put them at ease.
I love that.
And make them think that they're going to have a good time.
That is fantastic.
Because I think
it goes back to the earlier comment when it's like, I need this, this, and this. Sounds great.
Yeah, but
we have a thing. Go ahead.
Well, no, I don't know how exactly to say it, but there's obviously been so many people that have come to know you and heard your sound, and now you're working with the mixtapes pretty regularly and things like that, and they sound
those guys
fantastic.
are my bread and butter.
They sound amazing.
We just saw them 3 weeks ago at
and
Kiss.
I talked about just a second ago. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt
it's
because
okay.
you were getting on to it. But like I talked about being, I don't know, intentional, I guess. Or maybe I didn't, but I meant to talk about being intentional. I don't know. I've had just enough whiskey.
Right.
But like, and setting those expectations, that's where it is. That's where the thread ties back is setting those expectations and making people think that the product is going to be good. But part of that, like part of my process is making sure that I work with folks who are good.
Yeah, right.
Right?
Like, and so
you're in a position now you can choose those gigs.
As much as I love
we'll just leave
them,
it there.
Yeah.
As much as I love them now, like I wasn't sure that I was going to fall in love with the people that are the mixtapes.
Yeah.
Whenever I pursued a relationship with the mixtapes. But what I did see was that these guys are fucking great. Every one of those instrumentalists carries so much water.
Yes.
Dude, if I've got one absence on stage, we got to bring in 2-3 musicians to replace that person.
Yes.
Like every one of them are multi-instrumentalists.
That's why they fly Ivy in from LA,
Yes,
man.
and they're all so incredibly talented. And so I recognized that immediately. And I said, okay, well, this is a relationship that I need to pursue. And whenever they started coming to me at Crave, they were bringing their own sound guy. And, I was insistent. And I said, guys, I would love the opportunity to work with you. Just please, again, extend me that trust. I get it. I understand that you're going from place to place and you never know what you're going to get. But just give me a chance. I think I can make you happy.
Yeah.
And it was entirely because it's been intentional from the beginning where I want to work with people who are going to make me sound good.
Yeah.
You hear that? You hear what you
and
just said?
vice versa.
Yeah.
People who are going to make you sound good as the
Right.
sound guy.
Yeah.
100%. I agree.
And I think the only place that I was going was like, isn't it weird? And help me help me flush this thought out.
Because you've had a little whiskey too.
Sure. So help me flush this
Dude,
thought out.
we didn't start with beers. We didn't start with
We went straight
fucking White Claws.
through the James
bullshit.
side.
We went straight
Exactly.
to the spirits.
But sometimes, you know, I like to be inspiring for somebody who doesn't quite have the kahunas. Meaning, like, have you found yourself in a place where you're just acting naturally? You're just acting naturally, meaning I want to work with a band that's good. I want to work with a band that makes me sound good. I see something and I want to go be involved in it. Now, you might not be sitting there going, I'm the best sound guy in the world. You're not thinking that to yourself. You're not thinking there's not this level of confidence of like, I know fucking everything. And so this band needs to work with
arrogance.
me. You're not thinking, you're almost thinking the opposite of like, I kind of halfway don't know what I'm doing. But
No, wait, that's where I need to be.
But that's where I need to be.
Yeah.
And you do it almost like blindly. You do it almost like maybe I'm out of line. Maybe I shouldn't go this place, go to this place. And then all of a sudden you're in that place and that takes you to another level and another level, another level. I just think there's a lot of people out there who like, they don't know how to like take that step into like, you might not, there's been so many very successful people in any field that have just been like, when I got into this, I had no idea what I was doing. I just had to figure out how to do it.
Fake it till you make it thing.
And what's his name is one of the best examples. Iovine.
Jimmy Iovine?
Jimmy Iovine.
Yeah.
The guy that was like, he discovered Dr. Dre and he discovered, Jimmy Iovine.
He dated Stevie Nicks. I mean,
he
come
would
on.
like, he admitted like he produced like Bruce Springsteen records, like Born in the USA and everything. And he talks about like, when I was in the moment, I had no fucking idea what I was doing.
But he listened and
But
learned.
I just did it because I had to.
Yeah.
It's gonna work because it has to.
Yeah.
And there's something, you know what I mean? There's something there that has to do with whether you have or need the confidence, or whether you just say, that's where I want to go.
Right.
I just gonna go there and I'm just gonna say, hey,
I'm just going to fucking get after it.
I'm just gonna
Right.
get after it.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden,
But
you're in a
what-
place where you are respected as somebody, and you're like, well, I didn't do anything, but say I just wanted
Says a
to
lot
do
to your
it.
human character.
I've just been doing
and
this
that
thing
is
that
actually
I love.
the
Yes.
very step
Yes.
by step that launches people into success. And so for anyone to just be like, well, I'm not going to talk to that person
Right.
because I'm not good enough.
Okay, then you're never going to
It's
get
like,
there.
bro, no, that's what you got to do. I mean, for Jimmy Iovine to admit that he was in the midst of Bruce Springsteen sessions and having no idea what he was
dude.
doing.
Could you imagine just being like, but I mean, at the time, who the fuck is Bruce Springsteen?
Right.
Yeah.
You know,
Exactly.
he's just some dude. You never
yeah.
know what's going to pop.
You never know. But at the
It's
same
like you
time,
being a KJ in Florida. You're like learning your shit. You're doing
You
your
never know.
shit.
that's a thing. That's
So
the thing.
I want to bust in here real quick. Does anybody
Yes.
else have to pee?
I could use
Are
a
you
pee.
wanting to pee? You want to pee?
I need to pee. Is there a song we can play or
We
something?
don't need to play a song.
Or just. But
It's always going to be shut
I don't
down.
want to
if
lose
we
any
play
of
a
you
song.
because you guys are
I would
great.
put on Limbo Days.
Limbo Days? Yeah, that's
Oh,
right.
God.
We'll get
It'll probably silence
We'll get
it.
It
it'll
probably
probably
will,
silence
but
it,
we
but at
tried.
least we can edit it and whatever.
It should be on my iTunes.
Yeah. Oh,
got
Jay
this.
Stevens also. Jay Stevens is here. Hi, Jay. He's like,
Jay.
can we get him shirtless, please?
No, thank you.
And Kimberly,
Fuck, dude.
Kimberly says, "Pee
like,
break."
I feel like I've come so far on so many issues, and I am still.
Have I not given you enough?
Yeah, and I'm still like,
you
no, I
not
won't take my
entertained?
shirt off for you.
You're not.
No
No
way.
Bert Kreischer on you, huh?
Yeah, I'm
All right.
still not that
Do
comfortable.
you got Limbo Days you can hook up Bluetoothy or just?
You
Y'all
don't
don't
have
gotta
to
go to
there.
that much trouble.
It's over here.
It's probably going to get silenced because
Yeah, it'll get silent.
it's still on.
Hey, while we're going to pee, y'all should fucking listen to Mood Ring Circus
That's
on
right.
your own phone.
So even if we don't play it, I'm
no,
gonna
don't
try
do
to
that
play it.
because then you won't come back.
Right.
Get a secondary device and
do you
listen
got?
to Mood Ring Circus.
Oh, you got the CD over there.
Yeah, like
You got the actual CD.
Put it on the show and tell.
The show and tell.
And they're
going to
be at Bash in the Grass.
Oh yeah, Bash. When is that? Say
that
Bash in the Grass.
That is September. Hang on. Fucking September 9th and 10th. And it's going to be so fun.
Show everybody on the
show and tell cam.
The show and tell cam.
Oh, let me get it. There you go.
Yep.
Right there.
Click it over. That record is so fucking good, and for people to not know every word for word of that record.
Yes.
Oh, Limbo Days.
Dude, I love that album with my whole fucking heart.
I'm the same.
Good. Oh my God.
It's so good.
It is such a good.
I love that record with my whole fucking heart.
There it is.
Oh my gosh. Hello.
Let's see if it plays. I don't even know. Oh, there it is.
There it is.
All right. We'll be right back. We're going to be right back. We got
We're
lots.
just going to pee. Stick around.
Lots more to talk about.
Hopefully we don't get muted.
We will be right back.
This record is the best.
Get out your shovels and dig. We're closer than you might think. Bound for the bedrock we're sleeping on tonight. Beneath the surface we find vices to ease our minds, crutches to lean on when we lack the nerve to stand. Celestial voices in my head always bicker when I lay in my bed. They always talking all the time. I have lived to waste. I'm waiting on a sign me up for something fresh. Limbo days left me listless. World is my canvas and I draw circles in the sand. We live life from days to days, buzzing through a banal haze, breathing in the smoke that chokes our will to change it. Celestial voices in my head always bicker when I lay in my bed. They always talking all the time. I have laid to waste. I'm waiting on a sign. I am waiting on a sign. I am waiting on a sign. I am waiting on a sign. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Waiting on a sign.
Oh my God, that's such good stuff. I'm gonna just. I don't want to stop it, but
Listen
I'm
to
going
Alex
to.
Hines. We were talking about Eddie Hines earlier.
Yes.
Alex. Right. Yeah.
So yeah, they're gonna be at Bash in the Grass, and I'm super excited for that.
Yeah.
The actual
The mood ring.
ring is going to be a Bash in the
They've been
Grass.
playing shows here
OG
and there.
All Star lineup.
Have they had?
The OG All Star. Even Alex.
Yeah, even Alex.
Nice.
As far as I know, they have not informed me otherwise. But I guess who am I to inform? I don't know. But as far as I know, OG lineup, Alex, bass hands Hines will be in the house.
Nice.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I'm excited about that.
So what's the date on that? Tell us again.
That is September 9th and 10th. It's a place that is right out, like if you go out towards like Billings on 60.
Yeah.
So just go, it's right out past Republic, and then you'll hang a left. And you'll head south for a little bit. And it's about 35, 40 minutes outside of town. It's this really cute little spot. I want to say it's like Honeybee Shenanigans. I don't know, but if you look up Bash in the Grass on Facebook, you'll find it.
You'll find all the directions and all how to get
you'll
there.
find the directions to get there.
And there's camping
share
and
the shit
everything,
out of it.
right?
Yeah, there's camping. I got in with Spencer, who used to play with like Action Kick Johnny, and he's been in several other bands in the past. The dude is just punk rock to his core, and I mean that in the absolute best
good
possible
way.
way. Yes.
The Outland Ballroom, Spencer?
No, Spencer Wittenborn.
Oh, okay.
Who?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
He's a woodworker.
Yes, he's a woodworker.
Yes.
He makes
Yes.
gorgeous guitars. He does incredible cabinet work. He also organizes a music festival, and like they brought me in for Bash in the Grass, and I was like, holy shit. I want to say I was on number 2, and I was like, dude, this guy gets it. Like, he gives a shit. It is all about just 100% heart. He wants to create a space for great local music, great music that wouldn't maybe be necessarily considered mainstream.
Sure.
Maybe there's not a market for it, but I'd love to prove him wrong.
Right. Yes.
I would.
We've been saying that for
I
years.
would
We've been
love
saying
it
that
if
for years.
Bash in the Grass
just started
would
kicking ass.
just hit.
Yeah.
Because we've been kind of, I haven't actually been, but I want to.
Yeah.
And things like
So they do Bash in the Grass, and they do Roots and Radicals, which I think there's been some
Didn't that
branding
recently
changes.
change a name?
They
I was
did
just gonna
change their
say.
name from Bash in the Grass because Bash in the Grass was actually the name of a previous festival.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
And far as I know, like, it's also a Tenacious D song where everyone is invited to the bash.
Right.
Gotcha.
And so, anyways, it existed as a previous entity.
So it might not be called Bash in the Grass this
It
year?
is definitely. It will be called Bash in the Grass this
This
year. This
year.
is the last official
Gotcha.
Bash in the Grass.
I saw something about the branding.
And it was just one of those questions where it's like, okay, we again, crave cartoons. There is some baggage associated with the previous branding.
I gotcha.
And is the current market identity that we have worth carrying the baggage?
Right.
Right.
Or do we bail on the existing market identity because we know that our existing market identity consists of a couple hundred people that love the Wittenborn family,
Yeah.
Sure.
right? And so they're not going to be thrown by somebody changing their handle. Like,
Right.
folks that love you, whenever you say my name's Arson instead of Willow, you're not going to be thrown by somebody
Right.
changing
Right.
up their handle.
That's right.
Like,
Right.
we get it. We'll roll
Yeah.
with you.
You know,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
all
And
the
so
same
But the
people.
right
general
now,
Gen
we're
pop.
still at the point where the majority of their market share is those folks that love them and that will roll with them. And so it makes sense that, like, hey, let's just give up on the branding that's got the baggage. Roots and Radicals is what it will be going forward. But Roots and Radicals started out as punk, hip-hop, and reggae-oriented festivals.
Yeah.
And, I mean, this dude is throwing down trying to build a punk scene that doesn't exist anymore in this area.
True.
Have you seen? There's actually a documentary. It was done full blown documentary, like VHS tape. Like, it's got the
Nice.
the tracking
Alien
problems,
Nice,
singing
I love
shit.
it.
the punk scene in Springfield, Missouri.
I haven't seen it.
I can't remember the name of it. If anybody
We
can
watched
Somebody
that.
shoot me that link immediately.
We will.
Yeah.
We'll have to look that up because we watched it. Remember, it was like a
immediately.
hour long, and this was probably 20 years ago.
Okay.
And it was just these kids, and they were doing interviews, and they
the
showed
interviews
some footage, and
it was great.
Oh, what a gold mine.
Everything. It's
Did
on
we
YouTube.
find it on YouTube?
It's on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't remember how we found it, but we could find it again. And it literally was specifically the punk shit. I had another question though. Who? And I'm just talking ignorance, so hopefully I don't bring anything up weird. But who? What about the Luna thing?
Luna.
No, it was something
Mood.
different. Moon.
It was like a festival
Out in
kind of
Rogersville,
thing.
sort of.
that
in
just happened.
Seymour.
Stomp the Mountain? Or no, that wouldn't have been.
No,
that
not
was at
South
Jackson.
Mountain.
Elvis played it. What was it called?
Elvis, the Galactic
was
Thrust
Lunar-
played it, and it was like
Lunar-
lunar.
Dude, there's so many festivals. Like, and here's the
I
deal.
didn't know if it was
All these
related.
fucking kids get flush with ketamine money and decide they can throw a festival.
Ketamine money.
You know what I'm saying? Like, and they forget that there's like logistics and shit. Like, y'all gotta have
A
shitters.
lot of them.
Y'all gotta have shitters, and you've got to provide
gotta buy the
basic
shitters.
amenities for like human fucking existence.
It might have been that kind of a thing. I can't remember who was.
There's so many festivals now.
Yes.
It was called something.
It was something that had to do with lunar or moon or something.
Yeah.
I'm sure of it.
But anyway,
It was had something to do with the moon for sure.
But I love festivals, dude. What?
Yeah.
I mean,
they're
it was,
fun.
It was very
Like-
slight the year Elvis played, but he went.
Yeah, Elvis Galactic Thrust actually played there.
we spent whenever we had that like portion of our lives where we were doing the hippie thing, a lot of that was influenced with, you know, because of the local music culture. Specifically, you know, we started out with our introduction to hippie culture through going to the swag shows to like, to score.
Yeah, right.
You know, like
right.
somebody's like, "Hey, dude, come to the swag and we'll hook you up."
Right.
And we go, and then there's this fucking great band, and there's this great culture, and it's been like an institution where, you know, we're absolutely spoiled for that shit. And I think that a lot of people don't get it. A lot of people don't understand that, like, the caliber of talent that we have here and the caliber of just product in general that we have here. Like, I've had people come and tell me that, like, oh, I just went on vacation to so-and-so, and, like, I remember seeing bands there on the Strip, and, dude, I was thinking to myself that shit would have never flown in Springfield.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you go to other places, and you're like, oh, shit,
Yeah.
this isn't as good as at home.
Yeah.
Because
Right.
we have an insane caliber of talent here in the 417 and in these fucking Ozarks Hills. And we've got such a rich culture and history that it's just unreal.
Yeah,
And,
yeah.
like, you know, fucking dude, again, cut my hippie teeth going to swag stocks. And, you know, Maggie, this rolls it back around, but that dog that I talked about that went bald whenever we were living in our van, at one point we went to a festival and some asshole set off a bunch of fireworks and Maggie ran off. And we went back to Camp Zoe, which was where the swag were holding the swag stocks every single weekend for the next probably 6 weeks. And Jimmy Tebow from the swag put us in his fucking UTV. It was a 6-wheeled motherfucker, and drove us all around that property looking for our dog.
Oh.
And after 6 weeks, like the hippies were like, "Oh, we saw her. She was on this couch or whatever. We saw her." And so we'd put food there and like whatever. But after 6 weeks, we finally took our other 2 dogs with us, went to the property, let our dogs loose. They ran off in the woods, and like 2 minutes later, they came back with Maggie.
Oh
after
my
fucking
God.
6 weeks alone in the woods. But like,
That's awesome.
Jimmy Tebow from the swag went all out to help us find our last dog on his 360 acres.
Holy
Like,
shit.
you know what I mean? It's just,
Yeah.
it's
That's good.
such a beautiful
Community.
culture. How could I
Culture,
not want to
community.
spend my life doing
Right?
this shit?
Yes. Yes.
So I want to come back to your 19-year-old self and where the hell did you learn sound? But I want to do this real quick. I'm going to share this screen because Stephanie Cagle sent us a picture of love bugs.
Oh,
the
shit.
love bugs that hit your shit. Look at that shit right there. There they are.
She said.
Right there. There's the love bugs. That,
Fucking.
look at them.
Dude, that's
Look at
the
them.
way they hit your windshield.
And then they hit your windshield, so it's like splat. Like
But I'm saying millions of them.
yeah. Look
When
at
you're
them.
driving the streets of if you're there during mating season or whatever it is,
It's just like a rain.
It's just like when you have those big fluffy snowflakes
Yeah.
and a huge snowstorm, they just hit your
There they
second
are.
vehicle.
That's how they mate. They don't even get to look at each other.
And most of them look like that when they hit you.
And then you hit your windshield wipers and it's like goo.
Oh, you just smear their guts.
Yes.
No, that's totally it. Especially when you're in a 1964 GM Buzz
and it's flat.
There's no windshield like juice.
You had juice.
You know what else don't
we
fuck
didn't
around?
have juice.
You know what else don't fuck around in Florida is the ants.
Oh, no.
The ants will eat your shit, dude. They'll kill you. Dead.
So the
I
question
saw
I
a
had.
thing. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I saw a thing the other day. I'm interested to get your take on it. It was a TikTok video, actually.
Oh shit.
No, but it was a guy that was like, if you take 100 red ants and 100 black ants and you put them in a jar together and you seal it, they'll all coexist. They're fine. But if anybody picks that jar up and shakes the fucking shit out of it, the black ants will think the red ants did it.
Yeah.
And the red ants will think the black ants did it, and they'll start murdering each other.
So
Well, what is this?
we need to think. We need to think
What
about.
is this guy's credentials?
Hang on,
though?
hang on.
Is this just some
hang on.
fucking dude shaking a jar?
Dude, you didn't finish. You didn't finish. We got to think about who shook the jar.
Yeah.
That's the point of that conversation.
Yeah, so
Who
I
shook the
don't
jar?
know if first of all,
Who
I
shook
don't
the
know if it's
jar?
real that will actually happen. He might have been a total piece of shit.
But
Yeah.
that's the point of that whole
But
thing.
the analogy is still kind of there of like,
Who shook
Right.
the jar?
you
I
know,
see where
maybe
you're
the
going
jar
with
is
it.
being shooken and all of us were actually fine until you fucking fuck
You
shit
shake
up.
our fucking jar.
But that's and you know what? That's actually like really apt because what it is that whenever you shake the jar, you're shaking up all those fucking pheromones,
Yes.
and you're putting those chemicals in places that they weren't.
Yeah.
And that's how they communicate. That's how they live, and those are biological hooks.
Yeah.
That mandate action, right? Whenever
Yes.
they smell this chemical, they have to do the thing, whatever the thing is, right?
Right.
And if you think that the fucking advertising companies don't understand how to manipulate those biological
Exactly.
hooks to mandate action, like you got another thing coming.
Media,
dude.
advertising,
Yeah.
government. There's so many people shaking our jars right now. That's
Yeah.
the point of that. That's the whole point of that.
Yeah.
The
I mean,
whole thing.
fucking, like right now, what's his bucket is getting destroyed in court right now, Alex Jones. Like that
Yeah.
dude
Oh, right.
fucking, that dude built an empire on manipulating people's biological hooks and getting in there with the fear and getting into those fucking like cortisol dumps and shit where we're triggering an actual chemical response in the brain through specific wording and, you know, the way that we're framing things and phrasing things. Like that shit is like, it's an old grift, man. It's like fucking, you know, the vacuum cleaner salesman in the fucking 40s knew how to do it, and Alex Jones knows how to do it too.
Right.
Like whenever you're able to tap into that sort of like physiological or psychological vibration and just manipulate it and play it like an instrument, you know, you can get people to do whatever the fuck you want.
Yes,
right.
yes.
That's right.
And they're very skilled at doing that.
Oh, certainly. So
we should catch up on comments real quick because I got
Okay.
some more things.
Okay,
to,
go ahead. You
ask
find it. You tell me.
Matt Baker.
You to me, boo.
Well, there's and we're gonna have to backtrack.
Okay.
Because
We got a lot. There's a lot.
There's a lot to backtrack.
There's been a lot of activity here. Our
Yes.
engagement is stellar.
People
you
are being
guys
awesome.
are
That's
the
right.
shit.
That's right. How about right there?
Okay, the Soundman
Right-
thing.
right there.
the-
Look,
Point at 'em.
Look
That's
at
right.
y'all. I'm not even. Look at y'all. Y'all are doing it.
What do you got? Christy said something cool earlier, so I'm just going to, since you're looking, all of these compliments, this is way back. This is like at 8 o'clock. So this is like an hour ago. Christy Pressler says, all of these compliments to Matt, and not one person mentions his bomb dance moves. Bomb-ass dance moves. Shame on all of you. Well, you are the dancing Soundman for a reason.
You kind of are.
That moniker is well earned.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
I
There's
know.
hats.
I
There's
come by
merch.
it.
There's hats. There's merch.
There's merch.
I come by it honest.
You have merch. You have a Facebook
You know,
page.
like whenever after the whole Crave deal, like Christina and I talked about it, and it was like, what do I do?
Yeah.
You know, we'd already made the decision that like I'm going to freelance. I'm not
Sure.
going to go back to work for some other asshole and, you know, get some other dude rich on my skill set. So what are we going to do? What are we going to call it? And I went back and forth because it's like, dude, I get it. I'm extremely cognizant of the fact that it's not a super professional title. There's a lot about me that's not super professional presenting.
But what's the definition?
Sure.
Right. But fucking the branding was done already.
It was done already.
Yeah.
It was natural. It was so organic.
Like I think
Yep.
Deb Shelton started calling me that or some shit. Like
Yeah,
at some
yeah.
point somebody started calling me that and it stuck, and it's like, am I really going to try to fight
Right.
this market identity, or am I going to lean into it?
Lean
Yeah.
into it.
Yeah.
So I leaned in.
Absolutely.
I
Yes.
love dancing. What can I say?
Well, and you love
What
running
you do.
sound for bands.
Yeah.
And it's funny, the technology, you got to kind of bring in, here we go back again with our evolvement as generations. The technology allows you to run sound from an iPad.
Right.
And so you don't have to be behind the board. You don't have to be like, there's a technicality that doesn't exist anymore from 15 years ago, where you literally can tweak a fader from anywhere in the room, which is, first of all, a plus because you're able to hear what the bass sounds like all around the whole room.
Oh, and dude, mixing monitors
Yeah.
Right?
mobily
Right.
is
And all that kind of stuff.
fucking-
So then, once you get it somewhat dialed in, 4 or 5 songs in, you're able to literally be right there in the front dancing with the rest of the crowd.
Yeah.
And you still are literally, that sounded slurry.
You're very slurry right
You're
now.
still
But so am
literally
I.
able to run sound for a band while you're dancing with their fans.
Yes.
And you're a fan as
No,
well.
yeah, I am
Yeah.
not dancing with their fans. I am
the
their
fan.
fan.
You are their
Yes,
fan at
yes.
that point. Yeah.
And that's where the dancing sound man came from.
Yeah. Well, I call myself a free range sound man. I'm like those chickens.
Just like the chickens.
You know, they charge more for those chickens because they was nice to them.
You know, exactly. Yes.
You know?
I had a friend who raised freelance chickens, and she was, or free range chickens, and she was like, "You have to buy this," and I'm like, "How much?"
Yeah.
I'm like, because
Dude,
because you were nice to
these
them.
fucking foul command
love that.
like $10 more a head because they was nice to
Because
them
they
or
was
Because they
whatever.
were nice to
Like,
them.
they got to pay you to be nice to the chickens. And so I'm like one of those chickens where once I got out from behind the booth, I couldn't never go back to it. And you know, let's be real. Again, this all goes back to like me not necessarily wanting to run arenas. That's not where my heart's at.
Right.
It's a totally
My heart is
Different
in
beast.
small shows.
yeah.
And I knew that. I remember spending like a shitload of time in Branson and coming back from a 50, 60-hour work week and going to a punk show at Lindbergh's, and my heart opened up like one of them damn lotus flowers where like, and I knew that at that moment, like, dude, this gives me so much joy. And I've got to be able to figure out a way to fucking capitalize on that, right? Because what the hell else is there in this system but figuring out how to fucking market whatever we can? And in my case, it was the thing that brought me so much joy. And I had that moment where I was able to see it and know that like, oh, I just spent 60 hours doing this thing that brought me no joy, and 15 minutes into this, and my entire body responded a completely different way.
Yeah.
Where it was just like, And it was a really eye-opening moment where I was like, dude, I can even be doing the thing that I like to do, but if I don't like doing it, then why the fuck am I doing it? And then suddenly I got to this place where it was like, oh my God, like I feel it. The chemicals are dumping in my body right now. I can feel it. I'm aware of what's happening, and this is good. And I want this to happen to me every night. And so that's where my heart's at, is in small shows. I've worked a lot of big shows, and it's usually a lot of big assholes.
Right.
You know, and you might talk to the band for a couple minutes. Oh, hey, dude, I'm Matt. I'll be running your sound tonight. Okay, give me a kick. Okay, cool, thanks. How's that vocal sound? Good? Yeah. And that's the extent of our interactions.
Yep.
Whereas with these small shows, like, dude, I'm interacting with these cats on, like I said before, like, we develop a language.
Yeah.
You know? Like, and I'm part of it. And what's happening is something that is so real and so organic and just so goddamn satisfying.
Yeah.
Because you are 100% a band member. That's the thing that some people in the general audience don't understand. Maybe they don't get it, but you got a band up there, and it's your favorite band. It's your favorite band. There are two other band members that you don't see, and that's front of house and monitors.
Yeah.
They are totally...
Or if you're fucking ridiculous like me, you've rolled all those positions into one operator.
Totally.
Right.
In the small
Monitors
shows
is
especially.
kind of more of a bigger show.
But what I'm getting
But
at...
there are bands that you'll go see that split the door 4 ways
Yes.
when their band's only a 3-piece
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because that sound guy can make or break you. And it's just it's an interesting love relationship. And if it's a hate relationship, the show's going to suck regardless of how good the band is.
So
Can you go ahead?
I was just going to say, like, I've always found it interesting that my personal reading habits tend to reflect that. I find myself split roughly 50-50 between fantasy and sci-fi. And, like, what I do absolutely hits that middle point. It's that point between science and art.
Yeah.
And it's so satisfying.
It's
and
totally
so
your
compelling
job.
to
That's
me.
100% your job. That's
Where
great.
I get the technical shit. I am stimulated in ways that are just fucking incredibly rewarding. But also there is the artistry that's there, that, like, there's a creative element that, you know, absolutely exists. And I don't take it for granted.
Yeah. Do you think would you create a sound from a guitar player that's a Republican different than you would a Democrat?
Oh my God.
He's a Republican. I'm gonna put some.
I'm gonna turn up all his mids.
I'm gonna turn his TK
I'm gonna
down.
turn all his mids
You know what, though?
up.
Fucking Democrats scoop their mids. I don't care what anybody says. Fuck those guys.
Fuck those guys. Those damn Democrats. They scoop their mids.
Dude.
Fuck them.
Seriously, like, I have been...
Oh gosh.
I am consistently way left of the Democratic Party for years and years. And it's always so funny to me when someone's like, they present this big gotcha where they're like, oh yeah, fucking so-and-so completely shit the bed on this. And I'm like, yeah, he fucking did.
Gotcha.
He was terrible.
Right?
Like, fucking Obama said the first thing he was going to do was close down Gitmo, and it's still open.
Right. Derp, 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 derp.
Right? Like,
He's a politician,
Yeah.
so, you know.
well, he's a war criminal too. Fuck that guy.
So
Oopsie.
whatever.
Why do we stand these assholes? Like, fuck them all.
Right.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Let's
It
just
sucks.
run
Ain't
some
none of them give a
sound.
shit about you or me.
No,
they do
no,
not.
they don't.
No.
They want
No,
that
they
little
do not.
paycheck that goes into their bank.
Which I think, strangely, because my brain is so fucking weird, I think this is a great setup for the story that I really want to be told on this.
Yes. I know where you're going.
Is when you was little and you was,
How can you set it up without giving it away?
well, just, I know it has to do with your mom and it has to do with you and it has to do with survival. and
You know, he knows.
Yeah.
He knows.
Because we
So-
have talked about this before and we weren't able to release it.
Right.
And
But this is a great
I was really
story.
excited to get through this story again with how much of a struggle it was. And I mean that as a, not a compliment, but I mean it as like a, fuck me. I don't know how to say it. I don't know how to say it other than, you know, it was a wonderfully impressive story to me.
There you go.
About you.
Okay.
There you go.
Well, I'll take that.
Yes.
Thank you. You know, it's so weird because it's one of those things where my wife, and she becomes my touchstone in so many things, because what I experienced, like, it's taken me so long to understand that, like, that was not necessarily a normal thing.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. And so, like, for the longest time, there's just this sort of impression that, like, oh, that's the thing that happens to
That's
everybody.
how we all do.
Right.
And she's like, no, dude, that's not normal.
Right.
That was probably abuse.
Wild. Right.
You know,
It's
let's
like
be real. That was
gigantic.
probably extremely traumatic. But like, so being with her for all these years has really helped me sort of process these things and put them into that perspective. Because I would sit there and talk about like how, you know, romantic it was. I'd dress it up.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, where there's all these selling points, and she's like, dude, stop trying to sell me your trauma.
Right.
Like, it was shitty, and that shouldn't have happened to you.
Right.
And so it's important to have that sort of perspective as we romanticize these things, where it's like, yeah, it built character, but also, like, maybe...
It's not good.
Yeah, maybe
It wasn't good.
Maybe we shouldn't glorify it to the
Jordan
extent
Peter
that I
would
did.
say it's
Jordan
not.
Peterson.
Peterson would say it's not good.
It's not good.
Yeah. However, with that being said, like, so I mentioned before, I grew up with a bunch of outlaw folks, and I'll even preface this by saying that, like, the last couple times I've talked about the outlaw folks that I come up from, I've had some of those outlaw folks reach out to me and say, hey, you shouldn't be talking about us, and, you know, maybe we'll do some outlaw shit if you keep talking about us being outlaws. Sorry about your luck, dudes. Like, y'all did that to me, and you don't get to fucking hide from it.
Good for you.
But, so, anyways, my mom was a cokehead. She was hooked through a bag in probably one of the worst ways, and it was killing her. We lived in Poplar, California at the time, and I'm trying to place it linearly. Whenever this all started, I was probably like 9 or 10. Obviously, the addiction went back way further, but specifically this thing that you're referring to. And we lit out for the territories, you know, because that's what we do.
Yeah. As outlaws.
Yeah, she was hooked through the bag, and she decided she wanted to kick the habit, and the easiest way to kick the habit is to roll on down the road. And you wake up in a new space, and it's still the same asshole, apparently. But anyways, we had a habit of doing that. And so she also managed to, I guess, I should preface this by saying, on the way up there from Missouri, coincidentally, a prime truck that followed us all the way from Springfield ran us over. The dude had, and this, I don't even know if I got into this last time. And I only
I don't
say it
remember
because
this.
it's important backstory. A prime truck ran us over. The dude had a couple of 8 balls and a couple of ladies of the night with him in the cab of his truck, and he ran us over, and it was me and my mom and my father, my stepfather, and my brother and my 2 sisters. And he ran us over front to back and shot us out other side. It was fucked up, and we all escaped with like almost no injury whatsoever.
Ran you over?
Ran us over. And we had, that night we had
You've
argued.
been in that bad of a
Yes.
car wreck?
Yes. That night we argued over how we were going to sleep, whether we were going to sleep me and my 2 sisters in the back sleep sitting up, or we're going to lay down in the seats.
wrecked car?
Yes. So we decided to lay down in the seats. I ended up in the floorboard, and my 2 sisters were like head to foot in the seats. Had we instead decided to sleep sitting up, it would have decapitated all 3 of us.
Oh.
But instead...
Oh, you mean while you were driving? While you were driving, that's how you slept. Okay,
yes.
okay.
Yeah, my mom...
Before the wreck happened.
The adults were driving, right?
Right.
So we were arguing over how we're going to sleep in the back seats, me and my 2 sisters.
And were they older or younger?
They were both older.
Okay.
And so, anyways, this truck runs us over. We all escape with nary a scratch. But my mom, being the addict that she was, settled on like a fucking $2,000 payout.
Oh, wow.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of money.
That could have been a lot of money.
That was a life-changing
but in her
amount of money.
eyes, in her
But she
eyes
totally
at that
settled
moment,
for a way lower amount than she should have got.
Oh, wow.
Because again,
You say prime truck. You mean prime trucking?
Out of
like full
Springfield,
on
yes.
Springfield.
Prime.
She could've
Prime
got
Trucking
so
followed us all the way, and it was right outside of Barstow, California. Anyways, this truck runs us over. We get the settlement, and my mom buys an RV. And so now we can go to the next town to try to kick the habit, but she can also take her junkie buddies with her. And so, because we're just a fucking... And I should also preface this by saying my mom was an RN in a previous life.
Oh.
So before she was a junkie, she was a registered nurse.
Okay.
Right.
And that was just her spirit. Was she would take people
Helping.
in, she would
Take
care
people
for
in.
them.
Okay, I can see that. I can see that.
Yes.
Sure.
And so
'Cause they needed
she gathered people to her, you know?
Right.
She was a fucking junkie Mother Teresa. And, you know, and so we end up going up to, I think we stopped first in Mount Shasta, California, which is north. Gorgeous place.
Yes.
And we needed money, and we're in an RV full of fucking, you know, tweakers and junkies and con men.
And children.
So yeah, they decide that they can take a razor blade and very carefully excise the cash amount from lottery tickets. Because they were the foil tickets, and this was before they would scan them.
Yeah, before we had that.
Yeah.
Technology.
And so they could go and cut the very topmost layer of the foil off of the old ticket and super glue it onto the top of a new ticket.
Oh my goodness.
And create a winning ticket.
Okay.
And so that was the first place, and I remember my mom took me in to help exchange those tickets. I'm guessing because, you know, having a kid lends some level of, you know,
Innocence.
Empathy,
whatever.
innocence,
Yeah, I was a
whatever.
beard. I was my mom's beard, but
You have a baby face.
Yeah.
in
Yeah,
general.
totally.
Yeah.
Right.
yeah. And so we do this all up and down, and we end up in Soap Lake. Or no, we were in Spokane, Washington, and my uncle was in Soap Lake, and so he ended up having to come get us. But it finally caught up to us. It was a fucking like interstate lottery scam that we were committing as a roving band of fucking indigents.
Gypsy indigents.
You know,
Gypsy,
like,
vagabonds, whatever.
yeah. You know, I mean, at the time, like, it was like we're just fucking. I wake up in the Dalles. I wake up in Big Bend. I wake up in fucking Yosemite. I wake up wherever.
Yeah.
Like, and it was cool. And again, I have this tendency to romanticize it and to focus on some of the things that were really cool. But like, the reality is that night when the fucking feds finally caught up to us, like, I spent 6 hours hiding in a bush with my mom while the cops tore apart our fucking RV. And then they ultimately caught her, and my uncle had to come get me from Soap Lake. And like, I ended up living with him for a multitude of months while she was inside. And like, so yeah, it was super romantic.
Meanwhile, she's trying to get clean at the same time.
Yeah. I mean, and that's always the excuse, though, right?
Right.
Like, is,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're trying to kick.
Yeah.
But like, I don't know. Whenever fucking three frogs sit on a log and they'll decide to jump off, how many frogs are left? You still got 3 frogs because deciding isn't doing. Like, until you're ready to make the actual commitment, it's all just stopgap measures, and that's what it was for her. Was just you know, this is the same asshole that got off the RV and fucking, you know, Mount Shasta as got on the RV in Porterville.
Right.
Like, I don't know. Anyways.
Yeah.
So she's the only one that went up?
No, several of them
Okay.
went up. Yeah, they busted the whole goddamn operation. Yeah.
And the
And
children.
you didn't get busted, even though you were kind of
No.
part of it.
Nope, I got off scot-free.
But you were a
I was like
child.
9. Yeah.
And your sisters?
Yeah. Actually, I was the only one with him at that point.
Oh, okay.
My other 3 siblings were staying with my dad at the time.
Okay.
So, yeah, I was the only one with my mom.
Yeah.
So intense, man.
There's another heavy story that I
It's,
remember.
Huh?
The heavy story
About the
rescue.
immigrant.
The rescue.
Yeah, it all gets pretty heavy. And, you know, we talked about a lot of my positions that I take on Facebook, and I don't know, like, all the time I run into people that are like, oh, you're fucking inventing fascist whenever there aren't any or whatever. You know, you apply that label to anybody, you snowflakes, blah, blah, blah. But like,
Right.
you know, I don't know that a lot of them know that I actually, like, it's coming from a place of actual experience.
Experience and yes.
Yeah.
Not just knowledge, but experience. Yes. Yes.
You know, again, this was, I guess this was before the lottery scam. You know, and in some ways, I guess maybe could have been responsible for the circumstances that led to the lottery scam. I don't know. But yeah, so we lived in this little shit town called Poplar, California. And it was like dirt and a couple of pushers, and that was it. That was the town. And there was a shitload of fucking peckerwoods that were all in and out of prison up there, including my people. I come from a bunch of folks who were in and out. They were all fucking systemically institutionalized. And whenever you become systemically institutionalized like that, like, you're exposed to systemic racism in a very real sense. I'm not talking about, you know, affirmative action or anything. I'm talking about Aryan brotherhood.
Yeah.
And if you don't fucking join up, you're probably not going to make it very long in prison, right? And so a lot of these dudes are forced to make this choice where it's like, do I fucking sign up and get the swastika tatted on my chest, or do I get the shit beat out of me from both sides? I'm not justifying it by any means. I'm just saying these are part of the circumstances that
This is how it was.
the miasma, right?
When you were 9.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in Poplar, California. Yeah. And so there's a dude named Virgil Jackson who was an absolute fucking peckerwood, very proud of his Aryanness, and he, I guess, took a fancy to my mom.
Okay.
Right? And my mom, at the time, had taken a fancy to our ice cream man named Saeed. I remember Saeed had always given us ice cream because I'm assuming he fancied my mom as well.
Okay.
And so he would always be hooking us up with the fucking, you know, bottle
Which
rockets
made
and
him
shit.
awesome,
Like,
and
yeah.
you're
The
We love
bottle
Saeed.
rock-
He
the
was-
bomb
yeah,
pops.
Yeah, the bomb
and
pops and the fucking orange sickles.
Yeah,
and,
orange sickles
whatever.
were
Yeah.
the best.
yeah.
Okay.
And
So
so
Saeed was the bomb.
Saeed was a righteous dude as far as I was concerned. You know, it wasn't SpongeBob. It was like Ninja Turtle fucking pops with the gumballs where they're all fucking
Oh, right,
cockeyed
right,
and shit. But anyways, yeah, Saeed was the hookup, dude. He was the plug on the fucking sick ice cream. So apparently, one night at the club, and, you know, to preface this, oh, shit, sorry.
Ah, you're good.
Whenever you are in those sort of circles, like, that's where you're getting your dope. And when you're a fucking junkie, you're getting your smack from Virgil Jackson. And so she was not only forced to interact with this dude because it was a small town or whatever, but because he was also the hookup if you're white. Now, if you were Mexican, you would go to, you know, the fucking
Someone else.
the other plug. But, like, so she's forced to interact with this dude in an extreme power dynamic where he has all the power and she has none of it. And I don't claim to know what actually happened there, but the story, as my mother told it, was that she showed up one night at the club with Saeed because Saeed asked her out on a date. And Virgil Jackson had made a pass at her previously, and she had rebuffed him. So she shows up with Saeed, and Saeed, is dancing with her and being a fine gentleman. Virgil says, no woman in my town is going to date a sand nigger.
Oh, jeez.
So, he had a couple of his ladies beat the shit out of her with stilettos.
The ladies?
Yes, with high heels. So much so that it induced permanent brain damage and paralyzed the entire left side of her body. They threw her in a canal and left her for dead. Because she showed up, she had the temerity to show up at the local bar with a Pakistani man.
What year? Give me a year.
This would have been...
Ish. Ish is fine.
91, 92.
Okay. Which is...
I was still...
way too late in our history.
Yes.
For this to be going on. But go ahead.
So, and whatever it was. It probably wasn't politically motivated. It probably wasn't Virgil Jackson being like, this is a movement for fascist everywhere. We're going to strike down the Pakistani plague.
It was a piece of shit man move.
Yeah, it was just a piece of shit man move.
Yeah.
She rejected him, and he got pissed about it.
Right.
No matter how you slice it.
Sure.
But, also because he existed within that sphere, he commanded the resources to have that done at a word. Right? So, yeah, it might not have had anything to do with his political leanings. But because he was in that culture where they will do that shit for you,
right?
It was able to be done with him literally just saying, do this.
Get it done.
Get it done. And they beat the shit out of her, and they threw her in a canal, and her gay Mexican best friend, who was also mentally disabled, jumped in the canal and saved her life.
So, say that again.
Her gay Mexican best friend, who was mentally probably a 13-year-old, even though he was 40-something at the time, was the only person who would defy Virgil's mandate and jump in the canal and save her life. And he jumped in and he saved her. And
he was illegal.
Yes. Well, I'm not sure if he was illegal or not.
But one way or the other, he was an immigrant.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, he definitely was not.
Gotcha.
Yeah. But I'm not sure, what his current status was. It's immaterial.
But that's who saved her.
Yes. When nobody else would defy dude's word, he jumped in and saved her. And so, that's where a lot of this is coming from, is that you guys, and I say you guys in, the royal sense, not you guys, but you guys in general, a lot of y'all haven't necessarily had that exposure in rural America, where these things are this is more than just a fucking online culture war. This certainly is people in positions of power who can command people to do violence for them, and they hold these ideologies. And so it comes to me very personally.
Yeah.
I don't have much tolerance for fascists.
Yeah.
And I would 100% agree with that, because the opposite is also true. The opposite is also true, meaning if you're a city kid and you grow up in a world where you're surrounded by a certain race of people, you might grow up a little bit racist because of the negativity that you see from some of these certain people of color. And that's not the white kid's fault. It's also not the black kid's fault. But it's just where they are at that point. But it's also what might develop that young person to their future.
But it's again, we try to extend grace to these people because we understand that they're operating within a system that sets up and perpetuates these sort of power dynamics, where Virgil Jackson had so much more power than my mom had.
Yes.
And that's not just a thing that happens here. It's a thing that happens all across the spectrum, and all these people are affected by it. And so that is that's the real work, is dismantling that sort of systemic tool that allows for widespread oppression based on whatever the fuck. Because it had nothing to do with dude's political leanings.
Right.
Like he was just, his feelings were hurt, and he decided to take it out on her
fucking
because
prick.
he could.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's the systemic and institutional systems that allowed him to carry that out.
Yeah. Yeah.
And those are the things that need dismantling.
Yes.
Yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
So that's where I come from, and
It's a
that's
deep
why
story. It's very
whenever folks, tell me that I'm like, tilting at windmills or I'm inventing Nazis when none exist, like, no, dude, they exist, and they'll fucking paralyze your mom, like,
right.
Yeah. And that's precisely why hanging out tonight and everything else, like, because it matters to me that people understand Matt Baker more than they maybe have ever
I agree.
given the time to understand, because I do fortunately have this lost interview from 4 years ago. But at the same time, I watch stuff that maybe somebody's like, shut the fuck up. And I'm watching from
You're
a
like,
distance,
no.
Going like, no, he knows.
Dude's got some shit.
He's not just throwing out a modern day textbook here. He's lived this shit.
yeah,
He's lived this shit.
Because it's, excuse me, it's real, and it's not, just some imaginary boogeyman or whatever. Like it's fucking real, and it's how people act. But more than how they act, again, it's the fucking systems that give them the power.
Yeah.
And, he never would have had that power had it not been for the fucking prison industrial complex setting up that power for him.
Oh, interesting. Say that again.
That he never would have had that sort of cultural sway when he got out of prison if the prison industrial complex hadn't set up that dynamic in the first
Prison
place.
industrial complex.
Yes.
Very interesting. Interesting. Very cool. Yeah, I mean, I will say it again. I said it an hour ago or whatever it was. When I see any kind of arguments, quote unquote arguments going on Facebook, political or whatever, most of the time, your point of view comes from human. Mm-hmm. It doesn't really come from political. Your point of view comes from humanity.
Right.
And I like that, and I appreciate that. And you're also respectful. Yes, you might get a little shitty when somebody's getting shitty with you, and that's fine. I don't mean that. But I enjoy reading.
I can fucking throw down if we got to do it.
Right.
Do it.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But
I'd rather not.
I actually enjoy reading. And that's what I'm trying to say when I say this, is that if you do have an opinion, back it up with something. I don't care what your opinion is on anything. You could like Led Zeppelin or not.
Because
but
my
back
bigger
it up
point
with
is
something.
that if Matt Baker's involved, he's got this background.
Right.
He's got this background of hiding in the bush with his mother so that they don't get caught on this lottery scheme.
Fucking lottery.
And then
Jesus Christ.
whatever happened with,
Getting run over by a truck. I didn't know that part.
Somebody who put a hit out, basically.
Yeah. Basically, yes.
Put a hit out on your mom. This is all when you're 9, 10, 11 years old.
Yeah.
And then later in life, just being like, hey, I'm homeless, but I'm working at this bar, and she's working at Burger King, and we're opening a can of peaches. We don't know. These are all the things that I personally am just like, man, I absolutely can sit at a table with you and just like talk shit about shit. It doesn't matter if we agree. It just matters like, really? So you did this? Because I didn't experience a lot of these things that you're talking about. Nope. I experienced different things.
But you've got your own set of experiences.
I grew up in St. Louis.
That's when I was talking about the kid who was learned to. I'm talking about this kid.
Mm-hmm.
fucking namaste, man.
Right?
Yes.
He
Like
grew up
I'm
very
a blue
differently.
collar St. Louis fucking Republican as fuck.
White
I'm
kid.
not Republican as fuck, but I'm just saying
That's what you were raised
that's
around.
what I grew up around, like blue collar Anheuser-Busch. All my dad, my uncle, my grandpa, they all worked at
You know
Anheuser-Busch.
what's interesting too is
And so
how
we
many
just
times-
produced beer.
Yeah.
You know, and so it was simple, but it was also super blue collar.
Super complicated,
Right.
though.
But how many
whatever.
like it's interesting to me as an outsider, to somebody that's like existed outside of that political dichotomy for so long. It's interesting to me to look at it and see how many times the Democrats and the Republicans have traded blue collar.
Right.
Where it's like, I'm a blue collar Republican.
amen
Oh, I'm a
to
blue collar
that.
Democrat. I'm
You're
a
right.
fucking,
Right?
I'm blah blah blah, and like how many of them get to claim the blue collar
Right.
like credentials?
Right.
So who gets it?
Who gets the blue collar? Jesus.
It's the workers.
It's the
right?
workers, the
Like, it's
motherfuckers who are doing this
fucking-
shit.
Yeah, it's the people.
Dude, exactly.
But whatever.
Which is so funny because my dad, again, he worked at Anheuser-Busch his whole life. He retired there, whatever. His brother also did the whole same thing. His brother was very staunch left. My dad was very staunch right.
How did that happen?
So I don't know how that happened,
what
but
was your grandpa?
But my grandpa was
And they were both brewers
Does it-
or
Yeah.
involved in the
They
brewing
were brewery
industry?
workers.
no, they both were
Full
brewery
on
workers.
blue collar.
Union shop?
And I was
See, that's
and
the thing.
I was the typical like Thanksgiving, Christmas, everything fucking sucked.
Huge.
It always
Eruption.
sucked because usually my dad and his brother would get in some kind of a big
Right.
huge fight about shit.
But what's weird
But
is,
they worked at the same place. They were both blue collar.
but wasn't your dad union too?
Yeah,
But-
I'm saying, and his brother.
But it's
was
only
too.
recently, like it's just in the
It
last
became
probably 30
left and
years
right.
that the Republicans really took the anti-union stance. Before
is
that,
weird.
you could find a lot
So
of
fucking
pro-union
weird.
Republicans. And you
Yeah.
could find a lot of anti-union
Agreed.
Democrats.
Agreed.
Like,
Yep.
Well, and there's this wave.
Where's Jimmy
right?
Hoffa buried?
who knows,
Giant
right?
Stadium?
Yeah. I don't know.
Giant Stadium.
You think it's Giant Stadium?
I don't
I
know.
think he's a fucking speed bump somewhere.
He could be under the MSU complex right now.
Mm-hmm.
I don't fucking know. But anyway, union yes or union no?
Absolutely, yes.
Right, of course.
I
Fucking
think
power to the
absolutely
people
yes.
all day.
Yeah, it's interesting because one of the things that I grew up with, I was raised very left, very Democrat, very hippie, very my parents. I say they're pseudo hippies. They weren't really hippies,
Right.
but they were whatever. Anyway, so fast forward to a time when my dad worked for the Bell system, Bell Labs, and all this shit for years and years and years.
He was part of.
He was part
The
of
internet.
the internet in the beginnings of the internet. Okay, so there was a time he was working for AT&T in Lee Summit, Missouri, and it was a huge, huge building, and there were some union workers that were going on strike. Okay, but he was an engineer, so he was the white collar. He was the white collar guy trying to go to work to keep this business going for these blue collar guys. And so there was a time where I was trying to understand it as a 14-year-old,
Right.
what the fuck all this meant. No, 16. I was 16 because I was driving. And so he took my shitty little beater car that I was driving because he knew that him going to work, he was going to get shit thrown at him because he was still going to work.
Right.
And I took his
and
cool
that's-
car. And I just will say this, as an adult now, I understand why, but his perspective was the whole time he was going to work was like, guys, I just want to keep you guys having your jobs. Like, he couldn't say that to them because they would throw bottles at him and shit because they wanted higher wages, and he was on their side, but he also had to raise his family.
Developing technology.
It was a very weird time when it comes to union, but it ultimately worked out, and everybody got their pay raised, and everybody
Right.
was great.
But that's the thing is that like I am pro the ideal of labor, right? But like we would be fucking kidding ourselves if we didn't acknowledge and deal with all the shit that comes with the labor movement.
Yes.
And the
Yeah.
history of it, because like in the beginning, there was a lot of racism that was weaponized and
Certainly.
pushed throughout the labor movement in order to severely harm underserved folks, right? Like, black folks was used
Certainly.
as scabs
Especially
because
in the
they didn't have
Midwest.
any other work that
The
they
Midwest
could do.
was rough. Yeah.
And so, like, we have like, as much as I am pro-labor, we have to acknowledge a deep history of racism within the roots of the labor movement. It was weaponized against us and them, and nobody came out any better for it. And it's the same deal with this, where, like, you know, sometimes we just got to get good at owning our bullshit. Because until we can do that, we can't ever get to that place of healing, of moving on, of, you know, fucking
Getting
realizing
better.
our potential, right? Because we got so much potential.
And as you stated a little bit earlier, you were like, actually, a question that I had from my parents when I was a little kid is trying to start understanding politics. I'm like, why does everybody fight? Because we all want the best for us humans. And I still stand with that today. I was probably 10. And that is the way I feel today. Why are we so at each other's throats when all we want is the best for each other's humans? Because of those 12 motherfuckers that want all the money. That's what it is.
And that's what it's been this
On both
entire
sides.
time.
Both
Is
sides.
that
All sides, I should say.
they figured out those biological hooks, and they managed to figure out how to manipulate us to cast that enmity towards each other rather than towards them. And because they're able to do that, they're able to completely misdirect us and keep us fucking snapping at each other.
And let's
all
throw
the
some
time.
social shit in there. Some social shit that makes us go to the polls. This fucking, I'm sorry, back when Bush was running, the social shit, the gay marriage or whatever it was all to get people to the polls to vote for them. Both sides. And it's irritating to me when they throw this social shit out when we're fucking paying $7 for gas. It's like, hang on a second. I want to vote for this guy because I want to marry this woman. Okay, but what else is happening? And vice versa. And vice versa.
Well, and I get that, but you also have to consider that, you know, your position on that is privileged, where you aren't directly and negatively impacted by those laws that they are working on, and so it may seem frivolous to you.
It's not. I don't think it's frivolous.
Not necessarily frivolous.
I don't think it's frivolous, but there's deep set shit that's hiding underneath that umbrella of these social issues.
Like, that's the core of the actual leftist position too. Is it's the workers' position, and so there's that sort of class reductionism. There's that sort of race reductionism where it all boils down to ultimately it's the workers, and we're all being exploited by, you know, the bosses.
Sure, sure.
Right. You know, that's extremely simplified, but, like, you know, as long as they can keep us fucking going at each other and not understanding.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
As long as they can keep us divided.
Not understanding that we have that common
then those
ground.
upper echelons make all the money.
And which is ironically generally how a lot of right feels as well. Yeah. Like, we don't want to work for the man to the extent of you're fucking our lives over. It's so wild to me, because we talked about this an hour and a half ago. It's so wild to me how we're all actually saying the same thing.
Exactly. That's what I'm talking about.
So with all of our tiny little differences of like, but this and but that, okay, fine. But generally, we're all saying the same thing, which is, I love this country. I love that we have this freedom. I love that, you know, blah, 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 blah. And why is it? Who is shaking the fucking jar?
I want what's best for them. Yeah. And who's shaking the jar, and who benefits from us being absolutely at odds with each other and not recognizing our common humanity.
Right.
Yeah.
And
that's the problem.
It's the same folks no matter what.
Right. It's those 12 assholes.
Yeah.
12 fucking assholes.
Yeah.
That should be the title of this episode.
12 or 14.
12
Did we?
to 14, 150
Did
assholes.
Did we bring some show and tell? Because we have a show and tell section.
I did bring a couple of show and tell
Yay.
things.
Yes,
Yay.
I want to see your show and tell section.
Okay, so
I wish I had a better camera for show and tell, but hey,
okay.
it's
Right
there.
there.
It's right there.
let's
Look.
see if I can.
Don't show off his.
Well, there you go. Because, Jay Stevens said you should
Suck
go
it in.
shirtless.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
That's because I'm thick and dad bods are in.
Oh, shit. Dad
That's
bods
right.
are the biggest.
Yes.
Right now. Fucking dad bods are the shit.
I brought some show and tell, and I mean, it was two things rather than one, and it was two things that I would have brought anyways. I spent a long time. I was talking to Dan about it the other day. I saw him. I was like, I got to bring something fucking profound and compelling.
Right. You have to change the world.
Yeah. But like, I got to thinking about it, and I was like, well, I'm already gonna have two things on me anyways.
Right.
There are two things that I take everywhere.
Okay.
And they're two very important things, and one of them actually, I don't know, it may be breaking the rules because it's actually comprised of like 100 little things. But
There's no rules. There's no rules here.
First is my dad flex.
Your dad flex. Go. Yeah.
Yes.
Camera 4. Right there. Look at that.
This is a half-gallon Arctic double steel walled water can that I got for Father's Day about 3 or 4 years ago.
Right.
And this dude will keep ice for fucking 24 hours straight in hot sun.
It's the best.
I
I want one of those.
Like,
Half gallon.
Yes. And so it goes with me more or less everywhere. It's always in my truck,
Yes.
no matter what. So I would have brought it regardless. It was
Right.
like it was a thing that was already going to be on me. But the cool thing about it is that I get to do that dad flex and be like, dude, my fucking kids got me shit. It's like 24 hours I keep ice in this
Right?
thing. How long does your shit keep ice?
20 minutes.
Not,
That's
yeah,
it.
20 minutes?
Show
Yeah.
it again.
Do it again.
Yeah.
Camera
Show
4.
it again.
Look at that
Look at
shit.
that.
Double
Fucking
steel
double
wall,
steel.
half-gallon
Half gallon
water can.
motherfucker right there.
Yes.
I love that shit.
And so
right.
I end up out on the gig all the time in the hot. I make hay while the sun's shining.
Sure.
And this year, the sun's been shining.
Uh-huh.
Tell you what.
Gosh, yes.
So this thing will keep me hydrated and cool, and it's all because my folks love me and
'Cause your
support me
folks-
and love what I do. So
That's
Nice.
right.
So cheers. Cheers. Absolutely.
Yes.
Some coolness. Right
so
on.
that's something that I really love. And then the other thing is, let me get it. This is my backpack.
So, yes.
Yes,
So,
and look at
camera
this
4
thing.
right there. There you go.
Here's my bag.
This is an amazing backpack.
Yeah, my wife got this. My wife got this for me. I can't remember if it was Christmas or a birthday, but it was again 3 or 4 years ago, right around when I made the decision to go freelance.
Sure.
Okay.
And she decided that I needed a good gig bag.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this thing, I mean, as you can see,
It's been
It's-
worn.
it's
Yes.
been rode hard.
And put up wet.
Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Sorry. Whatever.
Doesn't matter.
Whatever your preferred honorific.
I don't care
even
my
give a shit.
pronoun. Whatever. I don't take any offense.
So yeah, I mean it's coming open and shit, but this is a great backpack and it's been with me for many miles and lots of gigs. Let's see.
You got stuff you probably don't even know.
Oh, nothing in that one. Somewhere. Where'd my toothbrush go?
You have a toothbrush.
Yeah, I've got a toothbrush. And
You
Which
bring-
is
You bring
fantastic.
toothbrush to a gig?
yeah, every fucking gig.
Every
Really?
fucking
Yeah.
gig.
Oh yeah. Just in case. You never
Nice.
know.
Right.
Let's see what else we got. That's my pharmacopoeia.
Pharmacopoeia. Right.
Keeps the old noggin limber.
Yes.
know?
Absolutely. Yes.
Gotta have some
some
pharma.
cannabinol and mycological.
Mycological.
Yes.
Mycological.
I got. Ooh, this is a must-have for any folks that do a lot of live music.
Okay.
These are. Let me get closer.
Yes. There you go.
Yes.
My Eargasm high fidelity earplugs.
Ear
Nice.
plugs, ladies and gentlemen.
These dudes are just little bitty guys.
But they make all the difference in the world.
Yes.
Nice.
But they protect my hearing, and I'm still able to actually discern
Yeah.
a pretty wide
Nice.
frequency range.
Yeah.
as opposed to the little orange $1 guys. You get some
Certainly.
good high fidelity earplugs, and
Nice.
they'll protect your hearing.
And you can still hear.
Yeah. So what else?
It's a plethora
Let's see,
of
this is-
backpackness.
Look,
Oh, socks, extra socks.
dry socks.
You can't have
You gotta have some
dry
dry
socks.
socks.
Oh, clean underwear.
Clean undies.
Because you never
You
know when
never-
you're gonna have a wreck.
you never
And
know.
your mom always said,
This is
Look
what
at
a
Oh, wait.
sound guy packs.
so
I
you
got a
can
bow
dress
tie,
up. So
just
you
in
can
case the
dress up.
situation
Bow
calls for it.
tie.
You never know.
Yeah,
You never know where
You
you're gonna
never
end
know
up.
whether you're
planning
gonna
on-
dress up or
planning
not.
a nice place.
Let's see. Yeah, you never know where you're gonna be. Another bow tie. Oh, look.
Oh, that's a
Do you
proper
see-
tie.
do
I
you see
almost
all
thought
that
it was
powder?
a cummerbund.
Oh, what is that powder? What is
That is my ibuprofen. My fucking ibuprofen bottle opened up and spilled all over the place, and my ibuprofen is now powderized.
It's now powderized.
I think you
and
lie.
So
I
whenever
think
we
that's
get a
your
headache,
cocaine.
whenever we get a headache,
Is it
we just
effective
fucking
when you
bust out a
snort it?
fat rail of ibuprofen.
I was just gonna say, is it effective when you
Straight
snort
to
it?
the nugget. Yeah,
I would
of course.
think.
Yeah,
Hell
right.
yeah,
It'll
it
put that
is.
shit right to
Hell
bed.
yeah, it is.
Yeah.
I've never
It's all
done
the same.
that.
Yeah.
All the same.
All right. what else you got in that little grip?
This is a
deodorant.
sound guy's gig
course,
bag.
deodorant.
Yeah, look, he's got some deodorant.
Right, right.
This is fantastic.
Oh, I've got a little hairbrush.
Yeah,
Just in
brush your
case,
hair.
right?
Sure.
Oh, what's that? That's a reference mic.
A reference mic.
Yeah, just a little reference mic so I can do some quick room analysis. It's got a
What?
3.5 inch jack
Oh.
just so I can plug it into my phone with like a fucking spectral analyzer and
To get
do
frequency.
a quick
That's
room tuning.
above my pay grade, bro.
Nice.
So
That's
that stays
cool.
in my gig bag. Oh,
Nice.
I've got a what else? Let's see.
This is an amazing
Fucking
bag.
skinning knife.
Oh, wait.
Oh,
Wait.
in
What's
case
that
you got
for?
to stab him,
In case you gotta
motherfucker.
shank somebody? What?
You don't know.
You don't
right?
know, right? Some safety.
Dude. I've been in some weird rooms.
No, I got you.
I know you know. We've been in some weird fucking rooms, man.
I'm not gonna carry a gun,
Hey,
but you got a shack.
I went to this place called the Dead Rabbit in Waynesville, and I shouldn't name names. Shit, it's already out there now.
All right, but the Dead Rabbit, that's a great name.
Yeah. Well, it was right across the street from a clubhouse, and I was doing stage management and sound for this touring act, and we end up at this place, and fucking we go in, and it's a really weird situation anyways, because like I fucked up and I didn't send the contract. I'm willing to own that now all these years later, but like at the time I was like, well, I don't know why you didn't get the email. It should have been there. I don't know.
Now you're like,
Maybe I got the wrong email address.
shit.
Whatever. I know. I just fucking didn't send.
Gotcha. All right.
But anyway, so they didn't have the contract, so they never actually confirmed us. But we undertake the effort to parlay into actually having this gig tonight.
Right.
And our road manager decides to play the jukebox. Fucking shout out Colt Yearwood. He decides to play the jukebox, and he plays fucking Bloodhound Gang's The Lap Dance Is Always Better When the Strippers Cry.
Right?
And this is like this is in Waynesville.
Raunchy.
And like we're struggling to fucking redeem this contract, and Colt puts on the Bloodhound Gang, and we fucking pull it off, right? Like, and we're gonna have a show. So we go to the hotel, and fucking like this was in the middle of a transition between road managers because our other road manager booked us a hotel in the middle of a lake. It was apparently a seasonal hotel, and it was out of season. So we fucking try to go to the hotel, and it's in the lake. So we go find a different hotel, and we take showers, and we go back to the gig. And when we walk in the fucking door, dude, this place that was empty, and like the three old fucking farmer dudes like whip their heads around when we play the Bloodhound Gang. Like this place is fucking full of dudes that are like slapping each other in the back and saying like white power and shit.
Oh,
Like,
shit.
White power, white power. And we were like, oh fuck.
Ooh.
Dude, we fought to preserve that contract, and like we got to get paid.
Right?
So what do you do?
Right.
Play the gig.
You fucking play the gig.
Play the
Right.
gig.
Those dude made the best chicken wings I ever had in my life. I called Christina and I was like, what am I going to do? And she was like, dude, just keep your fucking liberal mouth shut.
She's like, she's like, eat them. Eat up those
like,
chicken wings.
She's like, you're white, dude. You'll be fine.
Shit.
Just keep your fucking liberal mouth shut.
And eat your damn
and
chicken
you'll be
wings.
fine.
Right?
And, I mean...
Made some bank?
White racists know how to make some chicken
That's
wings.
right.
Apparently. No, this dude fucking was like a chef for the Reagan administration.
Oh, shit.
It was legit. It's fucking systemic.
Chew that. They can make some wings.
God, Matt fucking Baker, thank you for being here. This has been fun. Is there anything else? Any final words? Any coughing you want to do? Or
Stuff you got
Excuse me.
coming up?
I'm staying limber.
stuff you want to talk about?
Yes. I should have fucking plugged it in the beginning when we actually had people listening.
But hey, we can make it as a...
But on Thursday, so 2 weeks from today, Thursday the 18th, I am hosting a production instruction series of seminars. It's this deal that like I've wanted to do for a while, actually since I was working at Guitar Center.
Okay.
At Guitar Center, they made me teach like these studio recording made easy classes and live sound made easy classes because I was like the pro audio department manager, and so I had to teach these classes. And I always thought like, dude, I could do so much better than these bullshit classes. And so I've always wanted to do it, but I never really felt like I could because, you know, fuck, I'm just a dude trying to work. Who am I to like tell people how and what to do?
I feel you.
But like over the last several years, you know, we sort of danced around it, but like COVID had a huge impact on the industry at large.
Yes.
Sure.
Of course.
Not only on the music industry, but also like in the house of worship industry, right?
Yes.
So suddenly a lot of rural churches that had a, you know, decent attendance for their rural area have no attendance.
Yeah.
And they have no tech. And these guys aren't ready to stream, right? And so what's happened in the last couple of years is that all these small houses of worship have put together systems based on the best of their ability, fucking YouTube, whatever. So they put together systems so that they can get their message out.
Yeah.
Even though, I mean, and now we're starting to see things kind of open back up, but fucking monkeypox or whatever. Like, who knows where shit's going to be. But the point is that now suddenly they're like, you can't throw a rock without finding a small house of worship that has a tech team that's way in over their heads.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so we're trying to address that.
Okay.
I've spent the last couple years doing private and individual consultation and training sessions with these small house of worship tech teams, trying to get them to the point where they can present their message to their congregation, whether they're at home or, you know, in the actual sanctuary or in the fellowship hall down below or whatever. So, you know, despite my political leanings or whatever, like, you know, these are good folks that just, they need to be able to get their message out.
Sure.
And COVID.
From a technological standpoint.
Another reason I love you.
Mm-hmm. And, you know, a lot of the bigger integrators won't answer the phone for less than $10K. You know, and so these churches aren't on their radar.
Right. Sure.
You know, these are guys that are, and all due respect and love, but these are guys that are putting together systems that are, you know, similar to the sort of system that we've got here.
Right.
Where it's, you know, on a budget and on a, in their cases, volunteer basis.
Yeah.
So, God love them. They're doing the best they can, but a lot of these fucking techs are in way over their heads now. Yeah. And so we're trying to put together a program that will allow us to train them in the basics of audio, video, and lighting, and so that I can see them all at once instead of traveling all over the damn state and seeing this team at, you know, Mammoth and this team at Henderson and this team at, you know, UHBC and this team at wherever. I'm trying to put together a program where I can get all of them together at once, hopefully provide them a little bit cheaper of entry price rather than what they would pay for my normal individual hour rate. Yeah. But I get to take advantage of that value multiplier of having them in the same place at once. So I get to make a little more. They get to pay a little bit less. So that was the whole idea. And so we developed this production instruction series that's 6 parts. It's designed to impart basic lighting, audio, and video knowledge so that we can get these tech teams up to speed. But then we got to thinking that could also apply to venues with house sound, to bands that just want to have their folks get a little bit more technically savvy so that they can produce a little bit more consistent results. We talked earlier about going from one place to the other and you never know what you're going to get.
Certainly.
And so if your bandmates just want to get boned up on their chops a little bit, they can get a little bit better and more consistent results by attending some of our production instruction series.
Cool.
It is, I will say this, I hope like hell that all the tech folks come and have a good time and impart their wisdom and impart their knowledge on some of these folks that I hope to draw. I hope to draw beginners. I hope to draw church tech teams. I hope to draw folks that want to break their way into the industry. I'm also hoping that the professional tech industry will show out. But I will also warn them that this is, I mean, we're talking like audio flow basics.
Right.
And so they're not like if, you know, fucking Snap comes out or something.
Right.
Like, I'm not going to teach him anything that he doesn't already know. We're starting at
but if
the
you
beginning
need some
and
shit,
we're working on foundational
yes
knowledge. So
Yeah.
I just wanted, I feel kind of like a douche because I'm setting myself up as like this authority, and I'm no authority. I'm just trying to fill.
So
a
when,
need.
where?
Oh, sorry. August 18th, Thursday at SBC's The Cellar.
Okay.
The doors will open at 5. We'll do a couple hours of like networking and, you know, professional stuff where you can talk to people and exchange cards and all that shit. The presentation should start about 7 o'clock. I'm going to do some lecture where we will discuss it. In series 1, it will be audio flow basics. So we're going to talk about what happens whenever my mouth moves and pressure waves form and it interacts with the diaphragm of the microphone, and it becomes a low voltage signal and it travels down the cable path where it is then manipulated via either frequency or time and then combined with other low voltage signals and sent out. Like we're going to be talking
basics.
about signal paths.
Nice. I love it.
This is
love
what
it.
happens.
Love it.
Yeah.
And this is a one day, or are you doing a series?
It's a 6-part series.
Okay.
Initially, I had 12 parts in mind, but then like we got to thinking about it, and it's like, well, but then what if somebody comes in on episode 6? I don't want them to have to wait fucking 6 months.
And this is
And
how much?
so
How much?
It's $15 a head right now.
Oh my God, that's easy peasy greasy.
Yeah, and I never even got to the best part, which is when I get done lecturing and when I get done with the boring shit, like the presentation, then Greg Frazier, who is...
He's a great soundman too.
Greg Frazier's legit. He's going to do sound check while I broadcast the feed directly from his mobile device right up onto the screen. And you're going to be able to watch every single touch he makes on his mixer on the screen right behind him. We're going to do a full sound check and a set from house band.
Awesome.
So you will get an hour-ish of lecture and an actual
Each of your 6
demonstration.
parts will include this?
They will include something like that. So I was actually talking to Stoney and...
Jody?
Yes. Sorry, Jody. And he was into the idea of doing like drum clinics and stuff.
Cool.
And so I'm totally open to the idea of expanding this to like as many cool and badass workshops as we can shoehorn into it.
Certainly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yes,
For
please.
sure. For sure.
Bring me all those
Right on.
ideas, and we will shoehorn every one of them into this product. Because how cool is that?
Yeah.
I would have
That'd be
killed.
great.
Absolutely.
I would have killed to have that whenever I was
Certainly.
starting.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that's what I want.
For sure. For
is,
sure.
Like,
And it will only better the community. I don't care.
Yeah.
Even if you're just here, there's a lot of bands that actually run their sound from the stage.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Yeah.
this will better you. If you're watching right now and you run your sound from the stage,
Yes.
this will better you.
It will absolutely put you in a much better position than you were. At least that's my
Certainly.
sincere
Drop
hope.
your ego that you think you already know how to push sliders. I still call them sliders, not faders.
I don't care what you call it.
Sliders.
I like them sliders like little tiny burgers. So, anything else? Are we good? Are you
I don't
done?
know.
Are you
Are
done?
we
We're
good?
pretty
Are
good.
you done? Are you done? Matt Baker.
Anything else you got?
Other than that, I don't think so.
Just
Unless,
Dancing Soundman, you have a page.
If you want to like throw a party, have a band, whatever,
Call
and
him.
you need production needs, hit me up.
Call him.
Yes.
I would love
He'll
to
work
meet
with
your
you.
production
You'll
needs
work with him.
and dance.
and dance while he's doing it and love every bit of it while
Yes.
he's at it.
I will say in closing that I bumped into him at a gas station the other day, and I think he's grown. I think he's taller than he was 4 years
Really?
ago.
You think so?
Like physically
are
taller?
you doing something
I
to be
sleep
taller?
with my legs straight.
No,
eating protein
I was
powders and
standing
shit?
next to him, and I was just like, he's actually like towering over me. I don't know what's going on.
I don't know.
Maybe the only time I've ever hung out with you before
You were on stage.
I had my moon boots on or something.
Yeah,
I don't
maybe
know.
that might have been it.
But I was like, Matt Baker's tall. He's kind of
I
tallish.
don't think I always tell Christina that like we used to always fight over who's taller, but then she actually shrunk. And, yeah, because
How tall are you?
she's got bone shit. I think I'm like 5'10".
Okay, you're taller
Yeah.
than him. You
Yeah.
win. He wins.
No, he wins.
I wasn't trying.
I don't know.
There was no competition anyway.
No, there wasn't
Dan.
competition. I was just kind of like, Matt Baker looks tall.
You probably might have been wearing your moon boots. All right, kids. Thank you for watching tonight.
Yes, thank you so much.
Yeah, this
Matt
is a
Baker,
good time.
the Dancing Sound Man. Check him out on Facebook. Do you have a
Thank you
website
guys
or
so
just
much for having
Facebook?
me here. Yeah,
you bet.
dancingsoundman.com.
Right.
It's got, I think, some things on it.
Some things.
Yeah, I made it myself. I don't know. I was told I had to have
I feel
one,
you.
and
Yes,
so I made one.
I got you on that.
So there's things there. Mostly it's just for like whenever I'm bidding on like real shit, like the actual clients can do the thing and be like, oh, okay, he's real.
Right.
But otherwise, I don't maintain it as much as
I
I should.
gotcha.
But dancingsoundman.com is my website.
There you go.
But it links to my Facebook, which then links to me. And that's
And you get all the messages and all
So
that.
good. I love and respect you as a person, as a husband, and as a father.
likewise.
We have got to see little things that a lot of people don't see because of the voice lessons, because of the conversations we've had in the past. And so anyway,
If y'all needed voice lessons, Tara is the best. Yes.
I've kind of.
are
I've
you
kind
the
of-
best?
Are you not doing them?
I don't know. I've kind of chilled for a minute.
kinda chilled out?
But
All right, well-
I have thoughts about
You
bringing
might
it
get
back.
some
I should have asked you
classes.
before I
You
plugged
might,
your-
No, well, you might get some classes going.
Yeah, we might have some little classes going, some beginning,
Where it's
intermediate,
multiple
intermediate,
students,
and masterclass type
multiple students
ideas.
in one.
We'll
one
be
session.
talking about that because we've
Okay.
got some stuff. We got
Well,
some thoughts on that.
I thought that it was an incredible thing to have you working with Arson. Not only because I feel they did actually come a long ways vocally, but it was super important to me to have somebody that I just know is there and talking to them and being with them that I can trust. And I don't need you to violate your trust with them or anything. I just know that like I have somebody that my kid can talk to if I need to, and I know that like if it's something that's fucking dangerous, like Tara's gonna be like, hey Matt, you need to know about this. But otherwise, like I know
yes.
I can trust that they'll not only respect my kid's personhood and their privacy, but also just be like a positive force and influence in their lives. That to me was invaluable, and I wish that I could have afforded to keep going, but then fucking COVID and shit got
COVID and shit. And
Lots
thank
of
you
shit.
for saying
Yes.
that because that, especially with adolescent people, has been the bulk of my effect.
But it's been your strength.
It's been my strength and my
your
effect on people.
Yes.
I've worked with some adults and I've worked with children, but the adolescent age between 12 and 16 has been my forte because I am that sounding
Dude,
board.
because you like it's like we were talking earlier about making the jokes about Slay and all trying to pick up the lingo and shit and like dude, they just groan and their eyes roll into the back of their goddamn heads and they just like it is so impossible to penetrate their cool shield, and you're just like you're there already on the inside of the cool shield.
Yes.
Well, you didn't have to do nothing. You're just there,
And
you're
I've been
cool.
schooled. I've been
Yes.
schooled on the cool shield.
Yeah, you're just inside it already. You fucking.
I
Well,
was
Chris-
raised by non-judgmental people, and I think that's where it starts.
And Christina Baker said, "Don't give him a big head."
She definitely was taller than me when we met.
No, she's strong. Christina, thanks for watching. We are going to be out here. We've got the ways you can support our show if you'd like it. Scrolling. It's been scrolling for about 10 minutes now if you want to support our show. And we want to thank Terry Jones for being our newest patron member.
We love you,
Patreon
Terry.
member. Go check him out at
you.
the Chunky Monkey. Is it Chunky Monkey?
Yeah, and I will say...
Doing karaoke?
No, it's the Drunken
Monkey.
Drunken Monkey.
Terry Jones.
I will say, when we first started the show, I got a text that said, Matt's going to be good tonight
And he
because he
was.
has an interesting life.
He did not fail.
That came from Tom Hembry.
Tom Hembry.
Because Tom Hembry...
You weren't going to rat him out. But
Dude.
now
I
you
wasn't
did.
going to rat him out in the beginning,
That
but
dude.
if you stuck it out this long, I'm telling you, Tom Hembry's
Tom
a good
Hembry's a
dude.
bomb.
He's a good
We
dude.
love Tom.
That's another good dude. And like my whole life has just been a series of like running into these people who are so righteous. And you know, I don't know. I'm so thankful they see something in me and they give opportunities.
But
to
when you
me.
put that vibe out, you get it back.
That's what
But
I was
Tom
trying
Hembry's
to say
one of those
earlier.
people
Tom Hembry's
that-
one of those people.
that was instrumental in my success.
Yep.
Sometimes
And
you do things naturally,
Yeah.
and then the world thinks it's like some extraordinary
Yep.
thing, and it's like,
No.
it's not extraordinary to me. I
I'm
was
just
just
putting
living
it out there.
naturally.
Yeah.
And when opportunities come because of that,
Mm-hmm.
you know, you can't fucking fret the people that get jelly about it.
Do you have a
Because it's like, I tried.
really cool thing to say as we close?
Oh shit.
Maybe you'll write it on our bathroom wall.
Right. Maybe
You
I'll come up
love
with something to put on
Trump? Trump is your favorite?
Thing about Trump, I love.
I'm
is he's
joking.
He's,
I'm joking.
He's
Quit
joking.
stepping on my dick.
We have a T-shirt you can buy that
I
says
mean-
"I'm just joking."
Honestly, though, like, he's not much worse than all the other fucking
know.
dickheads that have been
He's
in
one
there.
of the 12.
They're all fucking pieces of shit.
Hey! Oh, fucking one of the 12.
He was just inept.
Yes, he was just
Right.
unhappy. It's just
Yeah.
One of the
I mean,
12.
Like that, but that's the thing is I've been fucking
I got
consistent
you.
the whole time.
Right.
I was like, this guy's a fucking war criminal. This guy's a war criminal.
Right.
This guy's a war criminal. They're all
Yeah.
fucking war criminals.
They're all the 12. Whether there's
Yeah.
14 or 40 or 56.
So just go
or,
live in Florida with some soup cans with no labels.
There you
That's,
go.
That
Go do
is
that.
the solution.
All right. We are going
peach
to
days.
close it up. Thank you guys for being here. There's going to be no music at the end here. He's got a little
No,
tiny
just-
bit of shit.
Just cut to the photo and
And we're going boom sauce. Bye.
it's Matt Baker. Tell
Love
the quick story about this as we watch it.
This picture we're
Oh,
actually
that
looking
picture
at.
Yeah,
was
the Instagram story.
Because Ryan Wallace did my logo, which I'm pointing to my shirt, but I'm not wearing a Dancing Soundman shirt.
Gotcha.
Ryan Wallace did my logo, who's a great local fucking designer, and it's the music note with the guy that looks like me and he's dancing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I just got these new shirts from the Book House, which is a great local publishing company ran by Chris Bibbins. And he gave me a sick deal on these Viz Green shirts because black shirts in summer suck.
Right.
And so I got the crew some Viz Green shirts. And I was just like, oh, Christina, take this picture of me while I pose like the logo. And I thought it was hilarious. But then she totally called me out for being like an Instagram girl and like
You're totally an Instagram girl.
making her take pictures of me while I pose. So,
All right.
but it's
I love it.
We have-
it
we
worked
have good
perfect.
times.
That's the picture I chose.
and support local graphic artists.
Yes.
Support local.
Please do.
Yes.
Support local everything. Beers, graphic artists, music,
Yes.
freaking podcasts.
Cabinets.
All that.
Labor.
Yes.
Cabinets, all of it.
Cabinets.
Weed,
all kinds of shit.
local. Get your mushrooms local. Get your
mushrooms
fucking
local.
weed local.
Right.
Hey, did you know that since I want to say it's 94, mom and pop growers in the U.S. have supplanted the South American market by like 97%.
Did not know that.
That's fucking local. That's the power of local
That
labor.
is
Let's do it.
power.
You know what I mean?
Let's do
Yes.
Support local.
Yes.
it. Support
Missouri made.
local. Bye.
Missouri made.
Bye bye.